All right, well, everyone out there on internet land, welcome back to another episode of the Argel Talk podcast. This is going to be a special episode of the podcast. We're not going to do our normal bullshitting, at least not at the outset. I'm sure there'll be bullshit throughout this piece of shit. But what we're going to do today is with the release of the new edition of Horus Heresy, we're going to go through and talk about what's different in this new edition that you may not necessarily see at first glance. We'll touch on things like reactions and dreadnoughts having toughness values and things like that, but those are things that you'll see the first time you look at any kind of rule book. We want to talk more about things that have nuanced differences, like for example, and we'll get into it, but like challenges are different. There's some differences in some of the special rules, things like that. So we just wanted to make kind of a guide for anybody coming from the first edition of Heresy into the second edition, and some pitfalls you might want to look out for, because there are definitely things that we have found during our initial play testing and leading up to the release of the new edition. While we were working on this on our own, I stumbled across a document made by the Flaymaster, and this is a great little condensed all-in-one document. So if you want just like a print-out version of what we're going to talk about, just to have as reference or whatever, we'll have that link down below in the description. But that's what we're going to be basing our conversation off. We just want to make sure to credit him for all the work he's done. We were working on doing the man himself, the Flaymaster.
It's all in the document. It's pretty
Bobby
dope.
Flay, like from
Bobby
from
Flay.
Iron Chef.
I didn't know he played Warhammer. But we were working on this ourselves, and he did a much better job of laying it out and making it condensed than we would. And faster, and probably more to the point. So first thing we want to step into is kind of the turn itself and the different phases of the turn and how those have changed. First off, the psychic phase is no longer. That is kaput. Psychic checks are now just based on leadership value, can be modified if you take one, and they're just attached to specific things that you're going to do during the turn, like at the beginning of the turn, beginning of a phase, when you make an attack, when you make a charge, things like that. It'll say in the psychic power what procs that psychic check. So we're going to lead off here with talk about the movement phase. You now run in the movement phase. It's no longer in the shooting phase. And generally what happens is you'll add your unit's lowest initiative characteristic to the distance you move. So basically, for example, you'll have your Space Marine Legionary movement of 7. You'll take the unit's lowest unmodified initiative 4 and add that to the 7, so you run 11 inches. No rolling required. You just do it. Similarly, it looks like they've tried to remove some of the kind of superfluous dice rolling out of the game. Moving through difficult terrain and charging through difficult terrain is just a flat -2 to movement. No dice rolling required. You just, if you are moving into or through or out of terrain, you just take a -2 to your movement, and that's it. So running in terrain is no longer a fucking oh, do I roll 3 dice and take the lowest 2? Like, how does this work? So it's just, if you run, you add your initiative, and if you're moving through terrain, you just take 2 inches away.
So that running in the movement phase is actually a big deal, because I know a lot of people in first edition were just like, oh, I'm moving my thing, and then I know I'm going to run them, so I'm just going to do my run move now. But it is significant that it's in the movement phase, because that factors into how your movement phase reactions are triggered.
Right, which obviously reactions are a big change to the game, and we can touch on those as we talk about it. But I mean, like, if you've been anywhere near a computer or a Warcom article in the past 3 weeks, you've probably seen something about reactions, because it's obviously the biggest change to the game. So you can get that information freely elsewhere. You don't have to listen to us tell it to you, which is, I guess, true for this whole episode, but we're just trying to give you one.
I mean, you could pay for me to tell you essentially.
I mean, it's true. I mean, you are paying for this information if you have the book already. You just don't get it through our, sultry, dulcet tones.
That's true. Why read something when you could have 3.5 overweight white men tell it to you?
You're not that big, Jake.
I didn't want to count Eric as overweight because I don't think he's actually overweight. He's the only fit person.
I don't know
here.
that I'm overweight, to be perfectly honest.
3.5 men now. Just us and Eric. 3.5 men.
Men, manly men.
That's why I play the Angry Legion, because I'm a manlet.
Shouldn't that mean you play Alpha Legion so you can be like your Primarch?
True.
Yeah, so whoever wants to roll into the assault phase. Or shooting phase, excuse me. I don't want to skip that.
Shooting phase is super quick. Basically, the big gist of that is that Lookout Sir, salvo weapons, and go to ground are all they're all gone. They've just been taken out. Salvo weapons and Lookout Sir, going back to what Jake said, in an attempt to remove kind of shitty dice rolling. Salvo weapons were just like, there was always confusion as to when do you get which shots. Forgetting whether or not you qualified for your better profile. And Lookout Sir was it was useful, but now they've kind of changed how wound allocation works, which we'll get into a little bit later down in the document. But yeah, that's basically it for the shooting phase.
Well, so one thing I'll put in is another, and we might go into this a little later too, but cover from shooting is a little bit different. A lot of things have been scaled back. Like area terrain is now a 6-up instead of a 5-up. Ruins are a 5-up instead of a 4-up.
Obscuring targets are only a 6-up.
Right, yeah, like basically everything that you know about, obscured for vehicles as well is scaled back by 1, 6, and 5 instead of 5 and 4.
Pretty much. I mean, they still function the same way, but how you get them and the quality of them has been changed a little bit. But yeah, we will get into that a little bit later. But yeah, Eric, if you want to take on the assault phase, since that's your baby.
That is my favorite.
I guess that's
phase.
Both of our babies.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You are correct.
I'm gonna get my trader book.
So there are some major differences in the assault phase.
Yeah.
Charging is a lot easier, you'd probably say. So you get a bonus to your charge distance based on your movement stat. So anything 7 inches or below, which is basic Marines and the like, doesn't get any bonus.
And everyone here in this chat.
Yeah,
that's true.
If you're in the 8 to 10 inch range, so that's dreadnoughts and some other things, you get a +1 to your dice roll. 11 to 12 inches, so your jump infantry, things like that, are +2 inches. And 13 inches or greater, which is mostly bikes and things like that, you get a +3 to that charge roll.
It's worth mentioning that the base charge distance has remained unchanged at 2d6, but these are added modifiers.
Right, and you still have to. I think you can still only declare if you're within 12 inches.
Yeah.
So even if you have like 3 inches, there's one way you can get a 5-inch modifier. We won't talk about that now. You still have to be at 12.
Yeah.
Right. The biggest change, I would say, is that if you fail your charge, not all is lost. They call it a surge move. If you fail your charge, half the distance that you rolled, including your modifier, you go half that distance. So if you roll a 6 and you needed a 7, you'll still move 3 inches towards your target as if you charged.
Yep.
Also worth pointing out real quick, as far as those bonuses go, there's also negative modifiers to your charge distance. If your unit has a 1 to 4 inch movement, you actually get a -1 to your charge. It's also bottomed out at 2 inches. You will always move at least 2 inches in a charge, regardless of modifiers to the contrary. Kind of like we were talking about this a little bit before we started recording about like 1's always failing and 6 is always succeeding. It's kind of like that, where if you roll snake eyes for a charge, you get that 2 inches. Like, sure.
Which I've already done twice in 2 separate games.
Yep.
Good times.
So yeah, I'm actually going to skip one and then come back to it because I think this one kind of leads into it. But the weapon skill table has changed pretty significantly. Reading it, if you're used to the first ed, reading it is still going to be the same. Weapon, when you're fighting close combat, you're still comparing your unit's weapon skill to that which you are fighting, but instead in the old chart where it bottomed out at 3s to hit and a max of 5 to hit, they have changed now where it's 2 is the bottom, 6 is the top. So they've expanded the weapon skill table pretty significantly. So having a higher weapon skill than your opponent, it means you're going to hit a lot easier, but more importantly, if you're lower than your opponent, it's going to be a lot harder to hit them. Where before, the vast majority, at least in my experience of close combats, where you're pretty much hitting on 4s most of the time, with some of your elite units hitting on 3s. But now there's a much broader range of dice rolls on there, so it makes close combat a lot more crazy.
Yeah.
It's a lot wilder now. And as we talk about some of the bonuses and or later on, like with certain units and Rights of War, like it makes a huge difference. But
It's kind of been scaled now, if you're familiar at all with like 8th and 9th edition wound table. Basically, if your unit has half the weapon skill of your opponent, you're hitting on 6s, less than you're hitting on 5s, same as you're hitting on 4s, more than you're hitting on 3s, and twice than you're hitting on 2s. So it's been much more simplified, where it's like, wait, if I'm 4 and you're 5, am I still hitting on 3s? No, I'm hitting on 4s, but you're hitting me on 3s. Like, it just was a fucking mess, and so I'm here for this change.
It also makes like Karn was always weapon skill 7, and that didn't really mean anything except in very specific cases. But now it matters a lot because he'll hit like mortals on 2s, and enemy praetors will hit him on 6s or 5s rather.
Yeah, and I don't want to get like too down to the weeds, but like concussive is a little different now. It can modify weapon skill. So if you have somebody get hit with a concussive weapon, go down to weapon skill 3, and then you charge in there with Karn, all of a sudden you're hitting on 2s, which is a lot better.
Yep.
So consolidation is again one of those things where they're cutting out dice rolls in favor of using like actual stats of the unit. So you consolidate after an assault using the highest initiative of whatever's in your squad. So if you got some I5 in there, you'll consolidate 5 inches. Sweeping advances are slightly different. Before, the winner of the assault, if they met the dice roll, they would sweep. Now they have to exceed. So, like, if you're both initiative 4, the guy running away rolls a 2, and the guy is trying to sweep rolls a 2, the guy runs away before they would end up sweeping. But now you have to actually beat the running away unit.
You actually have to be faster than that which is running away.
Yep. Similarly, you can sweep if you're in multiple combats, but you
I found this out the hard
to,
way the other night. God damn it.
Yeah, but you don't get to use your initiative value if you are the winner of the combat. So you'll still get to roll d6, but the falling back units still make one roll, I believe, and they do add their initiative.
That we did not get right.
Yeah, no, that's definitely not.
Yeah, that's kind of a big change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna get in challenges.
Yeah, no, please do.
That's what I was gonna do. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, so yeah, another big change is challenges. They kind of matter now. I mean, they did before, but they're definitely different. It used to be if you killed the fuck out of whatever guy you were challenging, the wounds you would cause would spill over into the squad. They don't do that anymore. However, any excess wounds do still count towards combat resolution, meaning it is actually easier to win the assault if you overkill in a challenge, because the guys that would normally have been wiped out by those excess wounds will now just die to the squad that is assaulting, and you'll have a better chance of racking up that win bonus.
Well, it depends on what sort of weapon you're using, but it also matters like when does the challenger lose their last wound. If you cause 5 wounds, but they save 3, or they it takes 3 of those to kill it, then you only have those 2 extras that could have gone out into the squad, but yeah, I tend to agree with you that overkilling the hell out of whatever it is that you're challenging is a much easier way to get a higher I guess an assault result, for the purposes of winning that combat. But yeah, that's a big change. I wasn't
Heroic
expecting it
intervention
to
has
be.
also been removed, which
Yeah, for all the 5 people who ever used that one.
Sigismund
I've
players
I've
pretty
used it
much.
before.
I actually
Uh,
never used it, and I had a couple of opportunities, but it just never seemed like the smartest move at the time.
Well, I mean, while we're talking about killing things off in combat, wound allocation changed. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah, well,
not
that is we've got that coming up here in a little bit, but yeah, that wound allocation has changed. Which do you have anything else in the assault phase?
Just pointing out for challenges, refusing a challenge, your opponent still uh, 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 uh,
Just to
chooses them
choose.
chooses a model that could have fought and they don't get to fight. The unit also cannot use the leadership of the model that refused the challenge. So
I'm pretty sure that's the same.
I think
Yeah.
it's the same, but just worth
It is.
pointing out there because I think that one gets
It is.
overlooked. Although, again, like challenges are now actually a decision where I think before they were pretty like, okay, why would I not? Like, if me putting my character in a challenge and he kills the fuck out of the other guy, those wounds are still going to spill over and kill the other shitheads anyway. Where now it's like, okay, well, if I want that guy to be able to put those wounds into the unit, then maybe I don't issue a challenge anymore.
Yeah, or I think it also will influence which characters you actually use. Because, do I want, Karn smashing Puss in the regular unit, or do I want him to do a bunch, like be sure, almost sure to kill the enemy character, or do I just want to use his talents and kill basic dudes and use a sergeant instead?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on into just general kind of core rules changes. That was more of like the turn itself and the different phases. So now, big one that we have talked about before. I don't know if we've talked about it on the cast or not, but you can just choose your warlord trait now. There's 3 core warlord traits that you can pick from, and there's also, and this is just core rules. It seems like any faction can choose these warlord traits. It does not seem Astartes specific.
Nope.
Each legion also has their own bespoke warlord traits that you can still choose, but these 3, any faction can pick them. And generally speaking, it gives you a small warlord bonus, and then there's one for each of the additional reactions per phase, so movement, shooting, and assault phase reactions. We can talk about them specifically if you want to, but
I do just want to mention, like, I know one of the arguments against choosing your warlord trait in the previous edition was that, everyone would just pick the good ones, which, I mean, yeah, is true because a lot of them are garbage. By allowing you to choose them, they have cut down enough that any of these warlord traits are something that I would be fine with even rolling randomly, if that makes sense. Like, because before they had 3 different tables of D6. You're not going to have 18 worthwhile warlord traits.
And they certainly weren't.
Yeah, and they
Especially
for
Legion
sure were not.
specific.
Yeah.
A lot of those bonuses were what you already had baked into your legions anyway. So
Well, only one legion had their own legion specific warlord traits, but Yeah, you may not have
I actually
realized that.
never, unless I took one of the special characters, which I did relatively often. I always rolled on. I always rolled trying to get stealth ruins.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
a
I
good.
think a
Or
lot of
move through
people
cover
did.
ruins was the one I always wanted. Same warlord trait, but I wanted it for move through
Yeah.
cover.
But I agree with you. The new core
Mhm.
warlord traits, they're all fine. Like
Like
they're all.
I've played a few games with my Blood Angels now, but two of those games I've actually chosen one of these core warlord traits rather than doing a Blood Angels one. I've taken the Ever Vigilant, which is an extra movement phase reaction, and the model uses his initiative +1 for those run distances. So normally you'd use your unit's lowest initiative for run distances. That warlord trait allows him to use his initiative +1. So like I was, what did I do that one game, Ben? I had like an 18-inch run on my assault squad, and boy, they they hauled ass.
They did, in fact. They got right the hell out of Dodge.
So like even the core warlord traits are still worthwhile taking. So like that's
oh yeah,
big
no,
change.
they're all usable. I think that's really important.
Mhm.
So yeah, moving on. Quickly to the allies chart. Not much has changed on the allies chart, but taking an allied detachment, they basically upped the allowance to extra 2 extra troop slots and an extra elite slot, so you can expand your allies a little bit more than you could in the previous edition. Now, I'll admit that I've not read through all of the books yet, but I can at least tell you that from the Space Wolf side of things, there is a right of war that specifies that it's for for an allied detachment, which would of course would lead me to believe that there'll probably be more of those across other armies. Um, you know, there was one that I was. What's the one from first edition where you had to take an allied detachment of like militia in a
Oh, like sacrificial
yeah,
offering.
Yeah.
exactly. So I'm thinking that there's
Mhm.
going to probably be some more rights of war or
That too.
just some other options that are centered around taking an ally, which I think is neat.
I will
Yeah.
say they do have some instances where they are heavily encouraging the usage of specifically Sons of Horus allies. In there's some just there's some of the traitor specific, legion specific warlord traits that are like you get this bonus, and then if you have an allied detachment of the Sons of Horus, you get another bonus on top of that.
Which I think is just it's a narrative thing to drive the idea that the Sons of Horus are the poster boys for the bad guys and that they're ever
Right.
present and all knowing and the Horus's eye is everywhere. So
But also it's hey, here's a reason to have another legion and also take some allies.
yeah. So
Yeah.
rolling into psychic powers, we kind of touched on this already, but like there's no more mastery levels. You can just choose your discipline. Every discipline, generally speaking, has 2 powers. One of them is just a general use power, and then another one is a weapon, whether it's in melee or a shooting attack. Everybody gets etheric lightning, which I think is like
which is a shooting.
it's like a mini Volkite type thing. I think, where it's
Yeah.
Force
Like,
lightning.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
Smite.
it's Volkite lightning.
Yeah.
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
It's Smite from 9th edition,
But
basically.
kind
It's
of,
a
yeah.
good
But basically, what they've done is, if a psychic power is used in melee, then it's basically the same as equipping your character with a sword with that particular profile. Same thing with like etheric lightning is a shooting attack, so it is basically a gun for all rules
Yeah.
purposes. It just can't be targeted or or anything like that. But what's really neat now is that basically every psychic power will tell you how it is used. There's some general universal rules like what is a psychic check and what is perils, but basically every psychic power will tell you, do you need to use a psychic check, how do you use that psychic check, and what are the of the effects of using it. So there are some powers that you can use part of it for free without doing any dice rolls if you wish. You can buff it up by doing a psychic check at the risk of possibly perilsing yourself. Same with the shooting attacks. Force has also changed. Force is on a lot of the weapons and on force weapons that psychers can take. It used to be that you would do a psychic check or you would manifest the power and that weapon would gain instant death. Now if a weapon has force and you activate it, then it doubles the strength, which will not always make it an instant death weapon, but in some instances can increase the strength to double out some toughness values on certain units. But
Or even just for the purpose of like armor penetration.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
yeah.
have like that strength 5 power that you had been against
the
Chris's
flamer.
dreadnought, the flamer thing. Like, yeah, you can make that strength 10, and then pen a land raider with it.
Yeah, just like your librarian just like punches a hole in the side of a fucking land raider. Like
You certainly can. But it's important to note, like Jake said earlier, that there are no psychic mastery levels, and it used to be that mastery levels dictated how many psychic powers you could cast in any one psychic phase. Well, obviously, there's no psychic phase now. So what that means now is that if you, again, with the powers will tell you how they are utilized, and you can only use one per phase. But if you have a psychic discipline that says you can do something in the shooting phase, the movement phase, and you have a weapon that's used in the assault phase, you can use all three. Like there's nothing that stops you from using all three of those in one game turn.
Now, when you say one per phase, you mean one per army per phase, or one per psyker?
No. One per psyker.
Per psyker. So, like, if you have 3 psychers in your army, they can each do a different thing in the shooting phase or the melee
Or
phase.
they can all lightning you.
Or they can just
they could all do the same thing, targeting. Depends on how they what the individual power tells you it does. So just as a quick example, because I know it best, but like the Space Wolf ones, you get 2 that specify that they're in the shooting phase. One is a flame template attack, and the other one says in the shooting phase instead of shooting. So right there, it tells you like you can use one or the other. There's nothing that allows me to use both of them. But Biomancy has one that you can use in the shooting phase and one that you use in the assault phase. You can use both in the same game turn.
Yep. One last note on psychic powers. Perils of the Warp is just Psyker and his unit take D3 wounds that only invulnerable saves can be made against, and you can allocate those wounds wherever you want, so it doesn't necessarily go on the Psyker anymore. It's no more, one time I used a Nullificator Primus and fucking sucked himself and half of his Justarin unit straight to hell. That wasn't a good time. Turn one, yeah. I was just like, oh, I'll give him a 5 or a +1 invuln or whatever the fuck it was I had. It was whatever. I don't remember. Doesn't matter now. So moving on from that, looks like we've got regrouping. So when you're falling back, you don't need a double 1 anymore. They just got rid of that. It's just a leadership check to regroup. It used to be,
which makes sense because like the only ones who needed that double 1 were mortals anyway,
right?
Because part of the core Legion as a Astartes role is you always regrouped,
right?
At your regular.
So they just got rid of that. Well, that wasn't double 1s necessarily. That I think that was like if you were the only person left in the unit or something.
Right.
Or I think it was also if you had less than a certain percentage of a unit left.
Yeah.
So it was just more things that you had to more math that you had to remember to do. It was almost like it was a negative for playing certain armies.
However, the insane heroism is what that's called does still exist. A double 1 does still always pass. So if you're if you lost by 15 wounds in a combat, if you roll double 1s, you still pass.
Yep. Certainly possible.
When you rally, you can move your just initiative characteristic, kind of like older regrouping. You can't move or charge. You can fire snapshots. And if you are falling back, if you're forced to take more morale checks, you just automatically fail them. So that includes things like pinning and stuff like that. So great. You wanted to talk about wound allocation. Well, here we go. Owning player decides how to allocate wounds inflicted. So it's not from the closest unit or the base-to-base contact or, from the direction of fire. If you have a template, oh, wait, is this one barrage or is it ordnance? I don't remember. It doesn't matter. You just get to pick which unit, which model in the unit takes the wounds.
That's really good.
Only you never have to allocate wounds to a character, but they similar thing. Like, so if you start putting wounds on something, you have to continue putting wounds on it unless it's a character. So like you could tank a wound on your Centurion and then say, okay, now the rest of the shitheads are going to take a wound.
Probably a more like, or the scenario that I actually have already run into is, oh, my character takes a wound during a challenge and then is now shot at in a later turn by something else. You don't have to kill your warlord before you kill regular dudes.
Nope.
Right.
But if you have, most Terminators are now 2 wounds. If random guy Terminator gets a wound on him, any subsequent wounds do have to be put on him first before you can start allocating elsewhere.
Yep. But they have made sniper and precision shots and things like that much more relevant and prominent and useful. So keep that in mind as well.
Oh yeah, precision shots can get pretty fucking gnarly real
You
quick.
don't say.
Yes, they really can. Which we'll get into that here in the USRs.
Next
Or
one,
weapon
sort of-
strength.
yeah, go ahead, Ben. Yeah.
Weapon strength is one that, like, I know a lot of people were kind of getting concerned about because they saw in First Ed 10 was the highest strength value, but now weapon strength can go above 10. It's not at all like what it's like in 9th edition 40k, but basically if a weapon strength goes above 10, you use that number for 2 things: either to determine the instant death threshold against whatever you're shooting at, against, if it's got a toughness value. So for example, a demolisher cannon is strength 12. So if it normally, something that maxed out at strength 10 could not instant death something that is toughness 6, but a demolisher cannon would count as instant death against something that is toughness 6. Also for armor pen rolls, so if you roll that demolisher cannon against a land raider that's armor value 14, it is going to be 12 plus a d6 roll to determine armor pen value, which is pretty significant.
Yeah, especially things like the Leviathan Siege Claw now.
Yeah.
Or the drill.
For what it's worth, there's not a lot of those weapons that we've seen so far that are above strength 10. I can only think of, a couple off the top of my head, and I just said one of them. But
I
yeah,
think
that's
the Titan Turbo laser profile is in the core rule book, but because we haven't seen the Mechanicum book yet, we don't know what that.
Yeah.
The armory of Titans actually looks like, but yeah. So weapon strength can go above 10, but don't panic. It's not 9th edition.
Also, because like even if something was toughness 10, strength 10 12 would wound on 2. So I mean, I don't really know what the panic there would have been.
I don't know. The panic was really more so like people see certain things and they think, oh man, this isn't going to be Heresy anymore. It's just going to be, Horus flavored Night Fed. So it's just, we're here to tell you, like, no, that is definitely not the case here.
So who wants to take Deep Strike, because that is kind of a clusterfuck?
I will. This one is.
I'll take flanking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we both make use of those things. Yeah, deep striking is, and reserves in general are kind of a whole new kettle of fish. Previously, for you had things that were deep striking, you would just you'd roll your reserves for each unit and determine whether or not they come in individually. That's not the case anymore. So now anything that you are going to deep strike, and this includes eligible flyers, which may or may not be all of them, but at least some of them. Everything basically goes into a deep strike pool. So you roll a single reserve roll, starting on turn 2 like normal, and if it comes in on the reserve roll, then you put down your first unit, you scatter it just like any other deep strike, and then you number one, you can't mishap anymore either. If you mishap, the opponent just places them within like 12 or 24 or something like that. Your opponent just places them. Um, if you don't mishap and you roll a 1, then your opponent gets to place the rest of your deep strike units anywhere within 24 inches of that first unit that came down. If you roll a 2 up, you get to place them anywhere within 12 without scattering.
Like all your deep strike shit just comes down at once in the same general vicinity.
Yeah, they're all down there holding hands, elephant walking.
Another one that sorry, Eric. I know I'm interrupting you, but there was something that was missed on here that I think is an important thing to point out is that you don't have to do the little friendship circle shit anymore. When that one guy comes down and you finish figuring out where that unit is going to come from, the rest of the models just come in within unit coherency. You don't have to do the little rings of death shit anymore.
Which I have mishapped more than once in first edition, having to do that Death Blossom. So it's really nice that that is not a thing. Also, if you do deep strike within 6 inches of any enemy units, they have to take a pinning check. Another massive thing is that you can now charge out of deep strike. So if you go, balls to the wall, put your Terminators down right in the thick of the enemy, and they end up going where you want, you can just charge those guys right there. And it's a big risk for sure, because you have to end up within 12, and scatter is a risk and all that. But there are ways to game that with things that don't mishap, like drop pods. So there you go. Deep striking happens kind of all at once and in the same spot, but you can do a lot more with it, I think.
Mm-hmm. Another thing worth pointing out is I think this document separated it into like the reaction section, but I think it makes more sense to talk about it here.
I was about to.
Yeah, so that when you finish doing your deep strike assault and you figure out where everything's going and you force that pinning check on every other unit within 6 inches of something that came in from deep strike, once those pinning checks have all been resolved, your opponent can choose one of those units, or I think any unit within range and line of sight, to make an interceptor reaction. That would be their movement phase reaction. But they can just shoot at something that's come in for free, full ballistic skill, if they're not pinned or otherwise prevented from reacting. Unless
here's a fun thing that will matter there. Pin units can't react at all.
Yes.
So if you play your cards right and get lucky, you can just get away with it.
Or like Dawnbreakers for Blood Angels, they force that pinning check at a -1. So, like, it's a little bit easier to pin things that they're dropping in on top of. Augury scanners also grant any unit that has one a free interceptor reaction that does not count for the total reaction allotment in a given turn. So, if you've got an army full of Augury scanner heavy support squads that all have line of sight and range on shit deep striking in, they can just light that shit the fuck up.
Well, so here's an important distinction, because I've seen it in both ways in different pieces of war gear and different rules. Does the augury scanner allow you to still make more than 3 reactions in total in a phase?
I believe so, but let me double check that. In fact, I don't know if that I don't know that would be down there because it doesn't. This document does not cover.
Would also need to clarify: can a single, I guess, can like one unit deep striking elicit a reaction from multiple units?
I don't see why it couldn't, because if those things are done by unit, right? Like if you move one unit within 12 of two different units, and you can make two movement phase reactions, sure, why couldn't you advance or withdraw with both?
So here we go. Augury Scanner. When an enemy unit is deployed on the battlefield from reserves, so this includes Deep Strike, just coming on the table edge, Subterranean Assault, and Flanking Assault.
Flanking Assault.
A unit that includes at least one model with an Augury Scanner may make the Interceptor Advanced Reaction, see the rulebook, without expending a point of the reactive player's reaction allotment. This does not allow the unit to make more than one reaction per phase, but does allow the controlling player to exceed the normal 3 reaction limit in a given phase. So
there you go. Load up on Augury Scanners.
Augury Scanners, stonks are way up this edition, boys. Buy.
Diamond hands to the moon.
To the moon. So Ben, you want to take us through Flanking Assault, which is very similar?
Yeah, Flanking Assault is very similar to how Deep Strike Assault works, but basically, just as in Deep Strike, anything that is going to be flanking, you will put together in a flanking force in your reserves. So instead of rolling for individual units, you will roll for the flanking force in its entirety. But before that, at the beginning of the game, after you've assigned what your flanking assault force is going to be, you will take a marker and place it anywhere on the table's edge, including in your opponent's deployment zone.
Good use for that Lodge coin that we all got from pre-ordering the box, right, Ben?
Yeah, we all got it.
Oh, I like that. I like that it kind of censors it out. I mean, it looks like this, but it's yeah, god, I'm so pissed off at that. So you put a marker down somewhere on the table's edge. When your unit, or when the flanking assault force comes in on a successful reserve roll, you will roll a 1d6 to determine whether or not the flanking force is disorganized. If you roll a 2 up, then you will be able to take your marker and move it up to 6 inches in either direction. And that is where your force will come onto the table using their normal movement stats. And you can run when you're coming in from flanking. But you come in off of the table. If a unit cannot physically make it onto the table after you've put in some of your units, then it stays basically an ongoing reserves and comes in later. You don't have to roll for them, and they do not. You don't have to roll to determine whether or not they're disorganized. If you roll a 1, however, then it is disorganized. Your opponent gets to take that marker and move it up to 24 inches along the board edge. So that can really kind of mess you up. So when you so same deal. When you come in, all enemy units within 6 inches of a unit that came in must take a pinning chest. But then can be intercepted via the interceptor reaction. Units may still shoot and charge as normal. So there are definitely a couple of units that get bonuses for coming in via flank.
And I would like to address one thing that I've heard when other people talking about this. It does say in the reserves rule that a unit coming in from reserves cannot charge on the turn it comes in from reserves. However, Deep Strike, Flanking Assault, and Subterranean Assault are specific types of reserves that otherwise dictate how your units can behave. So as usual in games like this, specificity beats generality. So yes, generally your guys just walking in from the table edge from reserves cannot charge. However, deep strike, flanking assault, and subterranean assault specifically allow for that. Now, I don't think termites are assault vehicles, right? God, I hope not.
I don't think so.
But still,
I mean, if they took it away from Dreadclaws, I don't think termites ever had it.
Yeah, no, they never had it, but thank God. But just to address that, because I've heard that argument a few times, and I don't think it needs to be an argument.
No, but so, but functionally, flanking and deep strike work very similarly. It's just, with the flanking assault, they kind of know where you're coming from and have to deal with it.
Last thing we'll talk about here in kind of general core rules changes, kind of transitioning over into certain unit types, is Primarchs have their own bespoke unit type now. Their unit type is Primarch. It is a completely separate force organization slot. It's no longer a Lord of War or an HQ slot. However, Primarch and Lord of War slot are counted together for the 25% rule. So it's pretty unlikely you'll be able to take both a Primarch and a Lord of War in your army unless you're playing very, very high point games. I know I'm not super familiar with driving Primarchs. They used to have, a whole page of extra rules unto themselves, but that's
do we want to go over what they are now?
Sure.
I've got the
go for it.
So a lot of it hasn't changed that much. They're still independent characters. They're still Eternal Warriors, so they can't be instant killed. They're still fearless. They all have it will not die 5-up baseline. Others may have better, but they all have that. They're all at least bulky 4. I think Mortarian's like bulky 6 or some shit.
I think
they all have
is
at least
bulky 6 for some fucking reason.
And relentless. They're all characters. They cannot have their characteristics modified. So I don't know if it's ever happened to you guys where you get into a challenge with Horus and he just fucking cuts your shit off and fucks you up for the whole
I think
game.
that happened to most people, and I think that's why Horus was considered to be one of the better Primarchs for the whole of First Ed, because he could just over time just gimp other Primarchs.
He just got away with it.
Yeah.
But that can't happen anymore to any Primarchs.
Keep getting away with this.
Yeah. They resolve all their snapshots at their full ballistic skill. What are you saying, Gray?
I was saying, does that mean Primarchs can no longer be concussed?
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, that was another. I know that hurts a lot, or it used to.
Oh, did it? Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Is that a thing that hurt, Eric?
Yeah, a little bit. Sometimes. Once.
But also that means that they can't. They're not going to be under the effects of fear either.
Right, because they're fearless.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
That also. They also snapshot at full ballistic skill, so like their unit can be pinned, I guess.
Well, no, because they're fearless.
Yeah, so I don't know what scenario.
Flyers.
Oh, okay, yep. So
fucking Angron with his strength 7 pistol,
just
sniping
over the shoulder, just.
Also important to note that all Primarch attacks, both shooting and in close combat, are precision. So whatever Angron cuts, he gets to choose what get cut.
Yeah.
Oh, of course, he's probably in a challenge for that thing anyway. But yeah, he'll just spite furnace your sergeant or your apothecary, because why not?
Yep. Just spite furnace the apothecary on the way in, shooting from the hip.
Unless there was another Primarch, I don't think I'd ever get into a challenge. I'd be like, nope, I'm just going to attack full bore into the squad, and I'm going to choose what things I dismantle.
Yeah. Well, except maybe with Angron, but that's a special case we're not going to talk about. And furthermore, it might seem obvious, but it is a rule. If you have a Primarch, it has to be your Warlord.
Yep.
So there's a few changes there, but it's largely the same.
Yeah, I don't think that was.
It's really the snapshots and the always precision shots. That's the biggest change.
Was it?
They're not integrated.
Was there ever a rule that said that your Primarch had to be your warlord? Like they specifically?
I think it was like in like Sire of the X Legion probably always said that.
Okay.
I think so.
I honestly never really ran Primarch.
Or it might have said it in no, it did say it in the core rulebook because that's also the section where it said they don't have a warlord trait. They have, Sire of the X.
Fair enough. But now it's just
which is still the case.
So yeah, cool.
Yeah, which is still the case that their warlord traits are their Sire Legion of the Legion, but that is specified in all of their unit entries.
Yep. So now we're going to roll on into vehicles because a decent amount of things changed about vehicles. As we talked about at the very beginning, just to kind of lead us off and transition from unit types, there's a bunch of different sub-unit types now that I don't know if they're listed in this document or not, and that's something that maybe we can go over another time because I think there's a handful of core sub-unit types, and then there's a couple of like Legiones Astartes specific ones. I'm sure there's going to be Mechanicum specific ones, and I'm sure there's going to be Demon specific ones. So, we'll get to those when those come out. But as far as Dreadnoughts go, again, kind of, you kind of have to be living under a rock to have not heard this, but Dreadnoughts are no longer vehicles. They are their own bespoke unit type. They do not have armor values. They now have toughness values and wound characteristics, just like other like non-vehicle models. They have fearless, poison and fleshbane wounds against them. Successful poison and fleshbane wounds must be re-rolled. They are affected by armorbane weapons. Armorbane allows you to re-roll wounds against Dreadnoughts. But otherwise, they now behave like any other. They're basically quote unquote monstrous creatures, even though that's not a thing anymore. That's basically how they behave. This is a particular war gear trait they have. It's a piece of war gear, the Adamantic Deflector, but I think it's worth mentioning. That is what gives them a 5-up invulnerable save. And it makes them immune to instant death, so you're not going to be instant killing Dreadnoughts no matter what you do. Any wound inflicted against them that's instant death just instead causes D3 wounds. So you're also worth noting is that it's only like Contemptor and up chassis now. There are no more Castaferum Dreadnoughts, at least
for the time being.
At least for now.
But I think one more thing, just tiny thing worth mentioning. You mentioned the Adamantic Deflector. That's what they all have. So Leviathans now also have only a 5-up invulnerable.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yep.
But they have armor saves.
They have 2-up armor, and Leviathans are also toughness 8. So that's fine.
Do with that as you may.
But yeah.
Isn't another a more general case change to vehicles, and I guess Dreadnoughts and then vehicles in general, is that they also get their Legiones Astartes rule.
By and large, yes.
Which they did before, which is huge.
Yeah, so I think
it's
across
tremendous.
The Legiones Astartes book, the Liber books, I think it's just
I hardly know her.
Liber hardly damn near killed her. The vehicles and Dreadnoughts have Legiones Astartes X as a rule, like in their unit profiles, and then most Legiones Astartes rules will have something for non-vehicle like infantry or cav, and then vehicles. So
also one last thing to note about Primarchs, they also have the Legiones Astartes rule, which they didn't before.
Yeah, which is not a huge change, but it's a good one.
It can be fairly significant.
Yeah. Also worth noting, just before we get out ahead of any of this cheesiness, Apothecaries and Primus Medicaes, models with Northesiums, do not work on Primarchs because it specifically says infantry or cavalry. Primarchs are neither. They are Primarchs. That is their unit type. They cannot be affected by fucking Feel No Pains from Apothecaries. They can get Feel No Pains from other sources, where some of them even have it baked into them, but no more Apothecaries and Primarchs for those of you that were trying to do that.
Which hasn't been a thing for several years, but it was a thing at one point.
Was a thing at one point, and some people's books didn't update, so. Does someone want to take us through some of the vehicle rules here?
All right, so as before, how you move your vehicle will change its ability to operate its weaponry. But those have changed a little bit. So if a vehicle is stationary, it may fire all of its weapons, including ordnance weapons, at its normal ballistic skill. That
Also
really
worth
hasn't
noting
changed.
that each individual vehicle has its own bespoke movement characteristic now. It's not just like, oh, tanks move 6 inches, fast tanks move 12 inches. It's whatever's on the unit's profile, and that's worth pointing out before we get into these other stuff.
So, like Jake said, every vehicle does have its own speed. So combat speed is any movement that is up to, but no more than half of its total movement value. And you are still allowed to fire all of your weapons at full ballistic skill, or one destroyer or ordnance weapon. If you go cruising speed, which is anything over half and up to its full movement speed, you may fire one weapon, but no ordnance or destroyer weapons. There are some rules out there that let you do that anyway, but as a general rule.
So one thing that some of the more attentive listeners may have noticed is that if you're stationary, you can fire everything, including ordnance. That means ordnance no longer requires everything else snap fire.
Yes, that's a big change, especially for all you Solar Ox players that had the Dracosans, or anyone who took the Venerable Malkador. Especially after its massive nerf, Chris. So anyways,
Yeah, great.
so flat out is now a thing that only fast vehicles can do. But basically, it can move twice, but can only snap fire all of its weapons. And then you roll a dice, and if a 1 is rolled, then you suffer the crew stunned result, and you take a whole point of damage. So there's a bit of a risk there now.
You max out your engine and move up to twice your movement characteristic, but at the risk of damaging yourself and not being able to shoot anything.
You push that reactor.
Or snapshot.
You push that reactor, but you have your Saber strike tanks with a movement of, I believe, 18 inches that are fast, but you desperately need something to shore up your other flank. Well, a 36-inch move would do really just that. Even if you are at a little bit of a danger doing that. So another major change.
I'm sorry. Just one that I just want to make sure we didn't miss, because it's kind of
the one that I'm going back to right now.
Does it start with an A?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it didn't make sense to do that when the other stuff was actually in the shooting phase, did it?
No, it didn't.
All right then. Thank you.
I forgot that Ben can also read. I apologize to everybody.
We do forget that a lot.
It's true. This is a huge change. In the assault phase, vehicles are always counted as weapons skill 1. Now, with the expansion of the weapons skill chart, it does mean that most of the time, or pretty much all of the time, they're going to be getting hit on 2s. However, why this matters is that in first edition, they only counted as weapons skill 1 if they moved, which would oftentimes limit your shooting capabilities with certain weapons. So stuff like, artillery, which very rarely ever moved, if anything did get into close combat with it, it was just automatically hitting. So this is a nice general defensive buff across all vehicle types, just straight out the gate, which is pretty great. So, one of y'all want to take Tank Shock and Ram?
I agree. You want to talk about Ram Ranch?
Yeah, boy.
13
hey,
naked cowboys.
Sekar Ramrod.
Sekar Ramrod. It is unhaming. It's all one thing. It inflicts D6 hits, or 2d6 if it's a super heavy, at half the front AV of the tank, which is a minimum 10 on a super heavy.
And rounding up, by the way.
Always round up. Then the unit hit must take a morale check. If hitting a vehicle, resolve 1 hit and add +1 strength if you have more hull points than your opponent. May only fire snapshots after ramming.
Ram.
Yeah, so that takes place in the movement phase. So like Ben was
Yeah.
saying, you have that 18-inch saber, and there's something way over there that really needs a good ramming.
Just yeet that motherfucker 36 inches into something, cause
Which I mean,
D6
even
strength 6 hits. It's not nothing.
Kind of makes me want to paint a saber like the General Lee.
Kind of looks like it, to be honest.
Woo!
What happens with things like rhinos dropping off squads and going smashing into things?
Which I have done to reasonable effect. I mean, D6 strength 6 hits on an infantry squad is not nothing.
Yep.
Like they automatically hit, and they're strength 6, so you've got a pretty good chance of wounding. So that's not bad.
Not bad at all.
There's a decent amount of Legiones Astartes traits that give bonuses to ramming as well. Like I think Space Wolves and Blood Angels get +1 strength to it. Sons of Horus get an additional D6 hits, or something like that. I don't remember.
D3 or D6, one of those.
Yeah, like additional.
Well, not
hits,
real important now, but
yeah. So now you have weaponry on your tanks are broken up into 2 main categories. There are your battle weapons and your defensive weapons. The real only distinction for battle weapons is that they're not defensive weapons. When you get a weapon destroyed result, you have to choose one of your battle weapons first, or if you don't have any battle weapons, then you can choose one of your defensive weapons. And it also does specifically say that you can choose now. You don't have to randomize, but it specifies that if you are, since you're choosing, you have to start with your battle weapon. So,
I did not know that you could choose now. We've been still randomizing.
Yeah. I mean, I can double check that, but I'm 90% sure. Because it makes you choose battle weapons first, so you can't just I'm just gonna tank this off on my twin link combi bolter on my Rhino instead of my multi melta, which you actually could do now technically, but
yeah, I mean that's a thing that like I used to do, where I had my Sikaran Venator or whatever that only has one gun. And be like, oh, I'm gonna take that whole mounted heavy bolter just so that I'm not guaranteed to lose my fucking neutron laser.
Right.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I used to hide wanting one gun and then hide it in a bunch of extra weapons.
Oh yeah.
People can go over it just to hide it. Used to do that all the time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which is now a more limited thing to do.
I do want to check one thing.
Defensive weapons are important because defensive weapons are what your vehicles can react with. Your vehicles can react just like anything else as far as returning fire and overwatching, but they can only do it with their defensive weapons, which defensive weapons are anything that's strength 6 or below, or that is pintle mounted. So if you've got your Rhino with your pintle mounted multi-melta, that is considered a defensive weapon, even though it is strength 8. So you can fire that.
Which means that if you get the weapon destroyed, you can choose the combi bolter.
Yes. So my example was a bad one, but and also worth noting, defensive weapons may always be fired at the closest enemy unit, even if the tank's other weapons engage a different target. You can, like your Sikaran Venator, if you can fire the neutron laser at one thing, and then you can fire the hull mounted heavy bolter or pintle mounted heavy bolter at something else.
Well, yeah, it'd still be the hull mounted heavy bolter because it's only strength 5.
Well, no, I think whatever.
I mean, that's a defensive weapon if it's strength 5.
No, yeah, it is, but I'm just saying, like, specifically the Venator. I believe the heavy bolter is pintle mounted. But
it might be able to take one, but I think it definitely had a hull mounted one. Maybe that was the Arcus. Nope. I don't remember. It's old edition.
Venator doesn't matter now.
Yeah. And the old edition didn't. It lost that.
What was the thing you were checking on, Ben? Did you find?
Oh no, it was it was the pintle mounting. That those do all count as defensive regardless of strength.
Mm-hmm. Another thing that changed is sponsons. Not only did sponson arc change, but the way you can use sponsons changed. So arc is just now 50% of the tank. It is a line drawn straight down the middle of the tank. You don't have to worry about like doing the weird like diagonal diamond thing anymore to get
Am
both
I
your
close
sponsons.
enough now that you can't see that your sponson can't see me?
Yeah. So like the other day, Jack was shooting at my dreadnought with his land raider, and the dreadnought was sitting right smack in front of the land raider, and it could shoot it with both of its sponsons because it's just split down the center.
Yeah, I got great with that too. I had my Leviathan to one side of his Predator, but then later I had his Daredeo right up the middle.
Yep. Sponsons also can fire at different things. So let's say you've got a land raider facing one way, and one sponson can see one thing, and the other sponson can't see that same thing because it's on the other side of the tank. That other sponson can choose a different target and shoot at it. So you're not wasting half your sponson shots on stuff anymore.
Yeah, basically the way I understood it and the way we played it, this may be wrong, but basically you still have to declare what your primary target is for certain weapons, because basically if you can see something with your weapons, those have to shoot at your primary target. But if you have a sponsor or something that cannot see something else, then now it is free to independently target, kind of like what Power of the Machine Spirit used to allow you to choose to do.
Which now, funny that you mentioned it, because I was going to bring it up because it's not mentioned here. It might be mentioned down the USRs, but Power of the Machine Spirit now basically just gives tanks split fire. It doesn't add additional full ballistic skill shots or whatever. It's just anything that has Power of the Machine Spirit, each of its weapons can target something independently, which is kind of cool. Here we go. Weapon destroyed. It was listed in here. Owning player picks a battle weapon to be destroyed. If no battle weapons, select a defensive weapon. If no weapons, resolve the immobilized result.
Yep, that's a big one too.
Yep, order of operations. Again, getting rid of superfluous dice rolling to slow the game down. Just be like, yep, I'm going to pick my combi bolter instead of my multi-melta. You son of a bitch, but that's fine. Vehicle explodes results. Just range is D6 inches, and all models within D6 take a strength 8 AP dash hit and a pinning check. I think
that is such a huge. Yeah, that is such a huge change.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because like you think about it, before it was strength 4, which is like, oh yeah, that's not really much, but it's still getting punched by a space marine, and now it's just even harder.
Well, now, yeah, you still get all of your armor saves, but your Terminators with 2 wounds still get insta-killed. Your Centurions and Praetors and whatnot still get killed if they fail that errant armor save.
I've been playing this edition of this game for 2 or 3 months now, and I was unaware of the pinning aspect of that. And it's specifically any unit that gets hit. You don't have to suffer wounds to take the pinning check. If you're in that blast radius, you're taking a pinning check.
What did you say, Gray? You cut out a little bit.
I was going to say, I can't confirm that strength 8 sucks. Sucks so bad.
Yep.
Sucks bad.
Played a buddy of ours the other night. He was playing his word bearers, and I took out his Marigal Dreadnought in close combat, which also explodes when the same rules whenever you destroy it. And he ended up killing, I think, 3 or 4 of his 2 wound vets off of the explosion of that vehicle. So, like, it is not to be trifled with.
No. Strength 8 is no joke, folks. Last note on vehicles is fire points are gone. That is no longer a thing. You can't have your vets in a Rhino doing a drive-by with their 2 plasma guns anymore. That is not a thing. The vehicle needs a specific special rule to allow its passengers to fire out.
Do Rhinos have that?
Nope.
Nope.
Huh?
Nope. That was actually one of the bigger surprises to me, was that Rhinos do not have firing ports anymore, because I used to regularly take a 5-man support squad in a Rhino, and
do exactly that.
I'd usually take a turn or two, depending on what my targets were, to just fire some plasma out the window. Keep them relatively protected until I needed, overwhelming firepower. But nope, not anymore.
Somebody somewhere did not like that tactic being used against them.
Apparently not.
So
I feel that way about some of the other rules that have spawned this edition, but that's not for now. That's a different.
We'll
topic.
get there.
I don't think we will actually.
So now pivoting from vehicles into super heavy vehicles, Knights and Titans are included in this. I don't think Knights and Titans have their own specific unit type or vehicle differences. Like there's not really a distinction between super heavy tanks, super heavy flyers, super heavy walkers anymore. It's just, is this a super heavy vehicle, a Knight or a Titan?
Well, there are some, like we were saying earlier, there are some like unit types. Reinforced is one. There's lumbering. There's a few others in there that do only apply to super heavies, but we're also, because there's not a lot of super heavies out right now, and there's no Knights and Titans. So these are just the generic rules that don't really have much to affect yet.
Yeah, I don't think we need to talk about Knight and Titan specific stuff like movement, assault, and stomp because we don't even have rules for them yet. So I think we can skip over that for now. But apparently, only Knights, Titans, and super heavy vehicles may only make reactions against other super heavy vehicles, Knights, and Titans, and only my models with 8 or more wounds. So,
which hopefully is only like 1 or 2 demons, because good God.
Or Thanatars.
Did they before? How many wounds did they have before?
Fucking no.
They weren't 8.
They were not 8, but Dreadnoughts didn't have wounds either. So
no.
So, Terminators all got more wounds. Maybe Automata did too.
Yeah. So that's kind of nice to know that if you want to focus down a Titan with all of your heavy support squads or non-super heavy tanks, that it kind of has to sit there and take it. I think that definitely is going to help make them more manageable. Yeah. Thunder Blitz is now gone, which is kind of a shame, but it was a cool rule. But I'm not.
Well, you say that, but like I got to use it once ever.
Yeah, I think I Thunder Blitz something with the Macarius Omega.
So it did get folded into the standard ramming rules.
Sure.
Super heavies now do, instead of D6, they do 2D6 automatic hits.
And
they typically
10.
have higher strength. Yeah, and they're always strength 10. Yeah. So not insignificant there.
No.
And now super heavy explosions is D6 plus 6 inches, and all models in range take a strength 7 plus D3 AP4 hits in a pinning test.
You know what's funny about that? Because we talk about how much like less dice rolling they put in. Not that you're gonna see like super heavies all the goddamn time, but it used to just be the apocalyptic blast marker. But I think
then there
the
were
number of people who have the apocalyptic blast marker and the number of people who have super heavies, there's a big old ratio there. So,
maybe ironic, maybe not, but I have an apocalyptic blast marker and I never use super heavies. So
So
I used to have one. I don't know what happened.
So it's important to have that apocalyptic blast template, because otherwise I don't think they make a 7-inch blast template. I think it is just the apocalyptic blast template that you use one of the inner rings on. And there's now a lot of normal units that have the 7-inch blast.
For example, the Arqueezy, the Arquitter Bombard, one of its weapons has the
Spicular rocket system has
Rock'ems.
The Rock'ems. They have a 7-inch
Arqueezy
blast
with the Spicular Rock'ems.
The Spiculas.
I hate it.
The Spicussies.
Pretty sure Morbin Time is also 7-inch blast, isn't it?
Morbin Time.
I'm not sure actually.
We could check, but yeah. So that's pretty much
Irrelevant.
it on general rules, like core unit type stuff. So now we're gonna get to walk through what's different on special rules, and boy howdy, are there a bunch of them here that need to have things addressed on them. Do we just want to take turns?
Oh yeah, I'll start off with night fighting.
I'll
because-
bet you will.
Oh boy.
Oh, buddy.
So night fighting has gone through many iterations over the lifetime of Warhammer in general. The latest iteration is actually a lot like what it was in like 3rd, 4th, 5th edition. Now, so number one.
Product placement, not sponsored.
So now, number one, instead of happening on a 4-up if the mission calls for it, as long as one person wants there to be night fighting, you roll for it if the mission allows for it.
Which is
so if both of you
odd.
guys are like, I don't want to do night fighting, then you don't have to do night fighting. I mean, it makes sense to me in the same way that it makes sense that Night Lords can turn it on automatically, is because they want to fight at night. Blood Angels might not want to fight at night. Space Wolves might not want to fight at night.
Or maybe
so
the
that makes
person
sense.
taking the second turn might want to fight at night.
Yeah, that, like, I don't remember exactly when you roll for night fighting. It says it in the book, but so you roll for it if someone wants it, and on a 2-up, it happens. On the second turn, you roll it on a 4, and then after that, it goes away. It used to be just stealth, +1 cover save, didn't stack with other stealth. Now
it's a whole
-1
barrel of monkeys.
Oh yeah, it's -1 to your ballistic skill, -1 to leadership because you're scared of the dark, and you can't take line of sight past 24 inches. Now, if you have night vision or are a Primarch, you ignore all of that. And if you have a searchlight on your vehicle, which, I mean, who used to use searchlights before? Sometimes you would have to pay 1 or 2 points. Who would ever do that? Ben, because he's a weirdo. Now, if you have a searchlight, you ignore that modifier to ballistic skill.
He played Charles too much. That's what happened.
Yeah.
You ain't lying.
Actually, it was. I think I've played Charles twice, ever. It was just in case Eric pulled some like night fighting bullshit.
God damn it.
Yeah, so it's definitely one of those things. Like, of course, Night Lords, I'm always going to use it. I think I'm actually going to ask for it a lot on when I'm playing World Eaters, just to try and limit like the effectiveness of enemy Deradeos or heavy support squads or something while I close in.
So also worth noting is that there's a lot of war gear that, so obviously night fighting can be much more prevalent now because it's just whoever wants it can just turn it on. But
on
now
a 2 rather than
on
a
a
4.
2,
big deal.
But as we were talking, augury scanner, that's one piece of war gear that stonks are rising high on. It basically allows you to ignore that 24-inch limit to range in night fighting. The Nuncio Vox allows you to ignore the -1 leadership debuff, and then a Vex. There's something else. There's one more that
The Legion Standard.
No, the Vexilla doesn't do anything. I think you're just fucked with that -1 ballistic skill unless you have night vision.
Or searchlight.
Or searchlight. Yep. Yeah, there you go. Searchlights. The vehicle's always in vision, but anything it shoots at gets illuminated, so everything else can ignore the night fighting modifiers. So like they have given you tools to mitigate night fighting if you want to play for that. But it's also like Nuncio Vox's augury scanners do other things other than just let you mitigate night fighting. So there's other reasons to take them, and I think that's really, really cool because I for one am a big proponent of like making your tactical squads worth it, like not just taking basic bitch 100-point tactical squads just as a tax or just as like a cheap scoring unit, like actually putting the upgrades on them to make them useful. So I'm a big fan of that. So I think that's worth mentioning. Scout. Infantry, artillery, dreadnoughts, and automata may redeploy within 6 inches. All other units redeploy within 12 inches, and you must remain 9 inches away from enemy units. I believe
It's
scout.
interesting to me that that's not like your movement stat.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, or your initiative stat maybe.
Yeah.
Or like if you.
I don't know if it would be worth it if it was initiative in a lot of cases.
Yeah, I
It
don't
would
know.
not. I feel like it could be.
4 versus 6 most of the time.
And I think, as far as I'm aware, it still confers outflank as well. So if you have a scout thing, you can either do that scout redeploy, or you can put them into a flanking assault.
Yeah, I believe it clarifies that there is no just standard outflank. You have to have a force that comes in via the outflank rules that we talked about earlier.
The flanking assault, yeah.
The flanking assault, yeah.
I think outflank might still be a rule. I think in fact, it might have even said it up here in the document. Hold on.
Yeah, it said that it's folded into flanking assault.
Yeah, outflank has been rolled into flanking assault rules. So when you go
That's
to look
probably
at
how
outflank,
you get to be able to do a flanking assault.
yeah, when you look at outflank in the book, it says you can do a flanking assault. Go to this other page and look what that does.
Yeah. But like it used to be that each individual unit could just roll to come in off a table edge. That's no longer the case.
Right.
Yep.
Gray, you want to tell us about infiltrate?
Or if you want to
Yes,
keep
I
painting,
do.
that's fine too. You don't have to.
Oh no, I'm right
Yeah.
here with you guys.
You're the only one actually being
Yeah, okay.
productive.
You look great.
It's the well, with the light from above, I was worried about blinding our viewer.
I'm already taking care of that. You're fine.
All right. Infiltrate. Units that infiltrate may be deployed anywhere on the table, no closer than 9 inches from enemy units without line of sight to the unit, or can be deployed anywhere in line of sight more than 12 inches from enemy unit. Now that's a bit closer than it was
Yeah,
in.
you
was
get
Yeah, that's like
way
that is
closer.
a lot closer.
You
So
can
another
get
big what?
So you can get kissing close with things like melta guns and stuff.
Oh yeah. Or like rotor cannons.
Combi meltas, all kinds of shit. Yeah.
So another big thing that this doesn't mention, that has been kind of a detriment to army project plans that I had, infiltrate no longer confers to like special characters. Used to be if you had a unit that could infiltrate, or like a special character that could infiltrate, you could attach them to a unit and they would be able to infiltrate. Likewise, like a praetor that couldn't infiltrate could attach to something that could infiltrate and would be able to do so. That's no longer the case. They have to all have it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's true. You may choose
I'm pretty
to
sure I read it straight from the book when you had it.
Infiltrate. You may choose to deploy units that contain at least one model with this special rule.
Oh wow! Well, fuck me then.
Same thing. 9 and 12 inch range.
Edit that out.
No, you keep it in there. The world has to know your failures.
Infiltrate confers to transports. Units that infiltrate cannot charge, and infiltrate also confers outflank. So if you want to, I don't know, do that instead. Now, it does say an independent character without the infiltrate special rule cannot join a unit of infiltrators during deployment, and vice versa.
That's what I was getting at.
So sorry, we got
or at least
there.
That was the specific thing that fucked up my plans.
We got there eventually, but it specifically calls out independent characters,
which would not count for apothecaries.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
True. Yeah. I think that's wise. So you can put apothecaries with your seekers and still infiltrate them.
Or a terror assault.
Or a terror assault. Ooh, this is a fun one. I'll cover this one just for Eric. Dangerous terrain. When you take dangerous terrain checks now, same thing. You roll a d6, and on a 1, you take a wound. However, this is an AP2 wound that only allows for invulnerable saves. So if you don't have an invulnerable save on that unit, or some other special rule that gives them a dangerous terrain save, they're fucked. They're dead.
Yeah. I will say, in the three games I've played, using copious amounts of jump packs and bikes, I haven't lost anyone to the new dangerous terrain yet.
I hope you are knocking on something wooden around you, buddy, because
I mean, I said yet. I mean, granted, two of those games were with my Night Lords that are better bikers than White Scars.
rude.
But I took some risks the other day with my World Eaters Assault Marines and just got away with it.
Also, because I'm reading the rule now and not just the summary on the page, just again to get out ahead of this, no armor save, cover save, or damage mitigation roll may be made against this wound. Only invulnerable saves may still be made. So your feel no pains aren't worth shit either.
I love that you can get shot with an explosive, mini howitzer round and get a feel no pain, but you trip over a stick
and break your ankle.
Well, no, because if you get a rock in your intake, your apothecary can't fix that.
No, he cannot.
Sure
Tech Marine should be able to.
Tech Marines, there you go. Give cavalry a feel no pain against dangerous terrain checks. That'd be great. Anyway, no wish listing.
Yep.
Yeah, that's not real. Ignore what I just said.
Yeah, no. This isn't an informative episode.
Although now I'm picturing Space Marines laying on their backs like turtles, just stuck.
Yeah.
Help, brother.
See, I'm thinking more of that Family Guy scene where Peter's just holding his shin, going
for like 2 minutes.
You ever see that meme where it's the two Dark Angels and one trips and the other one's like, "Help me, brother, I have fallen."
Yeah.
One pulls out his bolt pistol and starts crying, and the other one's like, "Brother."
Wasn't that Ben that was telling us about the dark Imperium or whatever the role playing game was, where you could like play a Terminator, but like stairs were the most like dangerous thing to Terminators, because just going down however 10 steps you got to roll 10 terrain checks. If you roll a 1, your Terminator just falls and fucking breaks his neck.
Just gets progressively worse the higher the stairs are. Yep.
Oh god.
So, anyways, moving on. Sniper. Sniper grants all of the wounds precision shot from that weapon,
as long as it has line of sight. So
yep.
If you got a sniper in a fucking bell tower, fuck your apothecary in particular. Snipers are real good this edition, man. I think they
have definitely buffed precision and pinning, like just
and just sniper rifles,
and sniper rifles, yeah.
Because there I know I've played at least a couple games last edition where a guy with like 10 precision shots, put them on my Praetor. I'm like, well, I'm just gonna look out all of those and be perfectly fine. But you just can't do that anymore.
Yep.
Nope.
No, sure can't. You better tank all these 10 wounds on your Praetor, Jack. Roll fucking 26 2-up saves in a row, you piece of shit.
I'm glad that I've taught him so well.
I was about to say that's my boy.
That's my boy. Power of the Machine Spirit, we touched on this already. Basically, it just grants snap or a split fire to whatever vehicle has it. Night Vision, we touched on this a little bit. Also, you ignore the effects of night fighting, but also importantly, you cannot make shrouded saves against a unit that has at least one model with night vision, which I used to great effect with an Armistos and a Volkite squad. That basically means you can't evade that unit. So when you do an evade reaction, it grants the unit a 5-up shrouded damage mitigation roll. Well, against something with night vision, that can't be taken. So that's fun.
Yep.
It's worth noting.
It ignores cover is basically the same. However, it also ignores shrouded damage mitigation saves,
which you see a lot less stuff with ignores cover now. I don't know that most flame weapons even have it. I don't think they have that anymore. I can look at that while you guys are continuing.
That's probably under Wall of Death.
What?
Oh god, he's roboting.
Oh god, he's Morbin.
He's Morbin all over this piece.
No, you said flame weapons not having I'm pretty sure they do.
Okay, I'm gonna pretend I understood what you said and read.
He asked about if templates don't have ignore cover anymore.
Template weapons have the ignores cover and wall of death special rules, so I'm just an
That's what I
idiot. So
thought.
don't.
There you go.
I figured they hadn't changed that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used heavy flamer rhinos to effect. I won't say great effect. They were
Oh, that
effect.
was the way that the old rule was, but good
Which
to double
makes
check now.
sense, but yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't specifically in there. So
Move through cover. You ignore the penalty for moving and charging through terrain, but does not automatically pass dangerous terrain checks, nor does it confer to the unit.
because I think there's some consoles now that get moved through cover. Like I think there's a console
Pathfinder?
called the Pathfinder, which is a cool unit, man.
Yeah, but he has it, but it does not confer that to the unit. Haywire has changed a little bit. And it hasn't really changed. It works basically the exact same way that it always did against vehicles. However, they have expanded it to work against dreadnoughts and automata. On a 2 through 5, the unit suffers a wound, ignoring armor saves, but invulnerable saves may still be taken. But if you roll a 6, then it ignores invulnerable saves as well. So closest thing to like a penetrating hit that you're going to get on a dread or automata.
Man, it's sure nice for them to make Haywire better. God damn it. Anywho,
I swear to God, if those Secutari hoplites are still as busted as they used to be, I will physically fight whoever brings them to a table.
Just fight mechanical players in general,
Just
Man.
the most busted ass unit.
Watch. Arlatax will be the only thing without a model to make it to the fucking or no, what is it Arlatax? The heavy support.
Arlatax. Well, no,
Be the only model to make it to fucking 2 edition.
Well, no, Arlatax is the fast attack, is the jump Castellax or whatever.
Oh yeah,
jump Domitar or something.
And there's the Ursarax and the Arlatax.
They have a model though, the Ursarax.
Yeah, Arlatax didn't have one, but it is a busted. It was a busted unit in first. It's the only thing I'm hoping
cool,
gets cut.
It is cool. So Hatred,
Really
really nice change on this is that it still does the same thing, but it triggers if a new combat is started. You know, like if something else charges in to a unit that was already in close combat. So, you know, you're getting beaten up by someone with, say, a chaplain in the unit, and you think, oh, I'll just go, shore up and help that unit out. Well, you can do that, but that chaplain's going to get another full round with his unit re-rolling their hits.
Yep. Specifically, just to clarify, the rule specifically is worded as the effects of this special rule only apply when a unit that has it begins an assault phase not locked in combat and then either charges or is charged by an enemy unit. If an enemy unit charges this unit when it is already locked in combat, then that does count as a new first turn of combat for the effects of hatred.
Yep.
So that's cool.
That's a pretty big one. We already talked about force. It no longer gives just straight instant death. It just doubles the strength of whatever it is that it's affecting. Fearless.
This one I missed, I'll be honest. It's the same thing where you automatically pass morale and pinning checks you're forced to take, but it also means that you cannot use a reaction to gain a cover, damage mitigation, or invulnerable save. So if you have a fearless unit, you cannot evade with it. That is really interesting to me because I missed that the first time.
Probably one of the main reasons why chaplains are no longer fearless.
Yes.
They're all stubborn.
Well, also because fear didn't really do much before, but it kind of does now. Because now it's one of those bracketed rules, which I don't think we mentioned specifically, but you may have noticed we've mentioned a lot of rules that have brackets. Fear is one of them. Any enemy unit within 12 inches of a fear-inducing model or unit has their leadership reduced by the number in brackets. So, Night Lord's Trophy's Judgment gives you Fear 1, for example. It's a lot different. It's a lot more consistent versus the sine wave of swinginess that fear used to be.
Wasn't a lot until it was.
Fear was nothing until it was everything. Now it's a little bit all the time.
Yeah, it's the consistency, like you said. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that goes a long way with because pinning seems like it's going to be pretty big this edition. So having units that have fear and pinning, with like other modifiers like night fighting and maybe some other things that units or weapons can get.
Also worth noting, something that's locked in combat only has its leadership modified by fear if it's locked in combat with the thing causing fear. So like you can't just have like a fear causing unit just dancing around a combat just debuffing shit that's in there. Also, it's not cumulative. You just pick whatever the highest fear value you have is, and it gets modified that one time. And units that cause fear are not immune to fear. So you can have fear-causing units also getting scared of shit. Maybe it's a different kind of fear, but there you go.
Clowns.
Fleet also has a bracket value now. So whatever the bracket value is, it grants that bonus to run, reaction moves, and charges. Reaction movements are usually dictated by the highest initiative characteristic in the unit, and then if something has fleet X, you just add X onto that amount of movement as well.
Pretty great.
Yeah, but the fact that they changed it where that now adds a bonus to charge, like that's so much better than it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
You think so? Because I think the full reroll was pretty good. I mean, it's still good. It's still pretty good. I don't know. I would say like Fleet 1 would be better than Old Fleet, for example.
Well, Fleet, I liked having known like bonuses. Like I can work around that a lot better than I can work around like that this reroll could just as easily be worse than it is better.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Deflagrate has basically stayed the same. However, but if the original weapon or shot gains some sort of bonus to its strength or AP or other special rules, the additional wounds caused don't, or like pinning. If you were able to give a Volkite pinning, the bonus wounds don't give it pinning as well. Not that it really matters for pinning, but that's just an example.
Yeah, like the rule in the book specifically uses as an example preferred enemy or precision strike. So like if you deflagrate with a precision shot Volkite weapon, the deflagrating wounds would not also get to be precision shots.
Yeah.
We mentioned this a little before, but concussive is another thing that's bracketed. You take a leadership if one or more hits are inflicted, and if you take a leadership check, if your unit gets hit with something that's concussive, you take a leadership check you just take a leadership check if your unit is hit by something with concussive, and if you fail that leadership check, then it reduces that unit's weapon skill by the amount in the brackets. I think
being the one, it actually got weaker then.
I don't know, man. I think with the changes to weapon skill, that's pretty huge.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm also going off of old rules. It is you have to have suffered a wound. You don't have to suffer an unsaved wound, but it has to cause a wound. I thought it just had to hit, but no, it has to cause a wound as well.
Still, while really good, it's still a lot less than getting bumped down to what is it, 1? I think it bumps you down to.
Yeah, it used to be initiative 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. There's sometimes I'd take that initiative debuff over a weapon skill debuff.
What you're doing. Yeah.
Yep.
Even like an Emperor Children player here.
Yeah. Well,
speed over everything.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you were faster anyway, then why does it matter if the guy was initiative 1? Now you're going to be faster and hitting them easier, and they're going to hit you less
Harder,
easily.
much harder.
Yeah.
Yep. Big
Yeah.
difference.
Shock Pulse is the same thing, except it now affects Dreadnoughts and Automata as well. Cool. Armor Bane's the same way. Same. If you armor, it's a little bit different in the sense that it is also kind of bracketed where it'll tell you what the condition of that Armor Bane is. So there'll be Armor Bane ranged, Armor Bane melee, or Armor Bane Melta, which is the same thing as it always was for Melta. If you're within half range, then you have Armor Bane. But they've just gotten rid of the Melta rule. It just has Armor Bane Melta now, which I think Melta was what you add.
You rolled 2d6. You added a d6 to armor pen rolls when you were within half range of the weapon.
So you had Armor Bane when you were within half range.
Exactly.
Except for like Armored Ceramite, which
Right.
isn't really a thing anymore.
No, in fact, it's not
No,
a
it's
thing
not.
at all. But Armor Bane also allows you to reroll wounds against Dreadnoughts and Automata, so it's still useless against those big chonky boys that you would think would be affected by it.
Yep.
Yep.
Now, a big one is Destroyer. Destroyer weapons, or D weapons, have changed pretty significantly. So, against vehicles, you roll 3d6 to pen, and you discard the lowest. And then if a hull point or wound is inflicted, it does d3 wounds or hull points of damage. So it's no longer the, you hit and then you roll d6 to determine, just how fucked are you. 1 being not fucked, 2 through 5 being pretty fucked, and 6 being turbo fucked.
Every time I rolled a 1 on the destroyer table.
I don't know. I got hit by. I think I've been hit by more 6s than 1s on the destroyer table, but that's just.
I've been
knowing my luck, I'll roll 3 1s for that armor pen.
I've seen that before too, but altogether, I think destroyer weapons are they're still potent. They're definitely still potent because they usually come on weapons that are going to be strength 10 plus, with AP 2 and 3. So they're definitely still potent, but they're not the craziness that I think they were before. And nothing that says that they straight up ignore invulnerable saves.
Yeah.
Or cover saves, like in some cases.
Yeah.
Monster Hunter, reroll wounds versus Dreadnoughts, Automata, monster subtype, and Primarchs, which is an interesting one.
Because doesn't a good chunk of the Dark Angel special units characters have Monster Hunter built in?
Yes. The new I can't remember the new Dreadnought, not the new Dreadnoughts, the new Terminators. They have, I think, Monster Hunter caked into them.
Yeah, so they're going to be really good, effective against Dreadnought and Primarch lists.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, go ahead.
Gets hot, it's the same thing. You roll a 1 to hit on a gets hot weapon, it causes a wound, but now it matches the AP value of the weapon, which at first blush would be really brutal, but plasma weapons still have gets hot, but they're no longer base AP 2. They're AP 4. Things you'll see that have gets hot and are AP 2 are disintegrator weapons. Our strength 5 AP 2 gets hot instant death.
Karn's plasma pistol and the spite furnace are still AP2.
Interesting. Okay, yeah, they just have that shit like overcharged. Like they don't give a fuck.
I can for 1 turn I can turn my Deathsworn's axes to gets hot. They're AP2.
Well, what benefit does that give you?
It gives them all flesh bane.
Oh God. Adamantium
Usually
will.
is short destruction.
Yeah, I mean, kind of. Adamantium will, another bracketed rule. Whatever the value of the bracket is, it grants that invulnerable save versus any wounds caused by a force, psychic focus, or perils of the warp wound.
Yep.
So that's cool. Rather, because like obviously wouldn't do anything in the psychic phase anymore, so it had to change up. So I'm into that. I'm cool with that.
Yep.
Lingering Death, which is your Phosphex weapons, leaves behind dangerous terrain, but it's only dangerous terrain for models with a toughness value. So your vehicles don't give a shit about Phosphex anymore.
Good.
Eric, why don't you talk to us about Hit and Run? If you can, because you seem dead.
He's drinking alone in the dark. Hello? Oh no.
Eric seems to have left this phase of existence, so we'll continue.
Yep, Lingering Death. Oh no, I'm sorry. Hit and Run has stayed the same. It's still an initiative check, but you roll 2d6, or you move 2d6 plus the unit's movement value.
Yep.
Your movement's lowest movement value, I should say.
I think
Then
Destroyer may
Warrior's
have...
on there twice.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Crushing Weight. When a vehicle makes a ram attack, hits are inflicted at strength 12. If resolving hits against a non-vehicle, it inflicts 6 plus d6 strength 10 attacks instead.
That's holy shit.
Yeah, it's pretty
Minimum
good.
7 points to the face.
Yep. Now, I'll be honest, I don't know what has that at the moment.
Super heavies.
Probably so.
Sure, super heavies, yeah.
Yeah.
Reaping Blow is actually one that I get a lot on my Wolves characters. And if you're a Death Guard player, you probably remember this. But if a model is in, it's a bracketed value. So if a model is in base contact with more than one model, increase its attacks by the value in brackets. It does not reduce the wielder's initiative anymore.
Which is nice.
Yeah, it is. Those the scythes for Death Guard, that kind of they were still potent, but now they are way more potent. And I know that a lot of there's a number of weapons in the Space Wolf arsenal that have Reaping Blow, just to throw more blades into the grinder.
Yep.
Right.
Heck, grinder.
Grinder damn near killed her.
The next one is one we kind of touched on a little bit earlier, but Breaching. Breaching is also a bracketed value. This is a brand new rule. It did not exist before. But when rolling to wound with a weapon that has the Breaching special rule, and that roll is equal to or higher than the bracketed value, then the wound is resolved at AP2. So like your plasma weapons are now breaching 4. So a plasma rifle will still wound on a 2 and a 3, but those will be at AP4. But if you roll a 4, 5, or 6, it'll be AP2 like it used to be. It is very important to mention that unlike rending, breaching does not auto wound on the value in the bracket. Also, breaching has no effect versus vehicles.
Your charnable weapons all have breaching now as well, rather than rending, which is
making them a little better than they were, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, some of the World Eaters weapons have breaching, but some have rending.
Yeah.
Because carnival weapons have always been kind of butt because they're like AP4, AP5, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
So breaching.
So these
breaching
are all going to
definitely...
be. Oops, sorry, Gray.
Yeah. It makes them better for sure. And when those are like automatic weapons on some of the like especially for Emperor's Children, a lot of their units come, or at least one of their special units just comes with turnable sabers built in.
Yeah. So these are kind of like new rules. Breaching is the first of those. The next new rule is Pathfinder. It automatically passes dangerous terrain checks and it confers to the unit. Just out of curiosity, I just checked the Pathfinder console upgrade, and he has to take scout armor and cannot take a bike or jet bike. So I was like, oh, maybe that's a way to get your white scars back to where they should be. But nope, sadly not.
Nope.
Battle Hardened. This is a bracketed rule. Increase the toughness value by the value in brackets for the purposes of instant death. So, like, let's say you've got a Terminator unit that's toughness 4 with battle hardened 1. You would increase their toughness by 1 for the purposes of instant death, so they wouldn't be getting instant death by strength 8 or 8. They'd have to.
You're still taking wounds normally as though you are toughness 4, but specifically, you cannot be instant deathed by anything strength 8 in that example.
Gray, is that a warlord tree for Ultramarines, or is that what the war gear does now? Because I know
That
you
is-
used it.
Yeah, it happens. It's what the Mantle of Ultramar gets instead of It Will Not Die.
Same thing with the Mantra of the Elder Drake in Salamanders. They
Yeah.
both of those used to
The
confer.
Eternal Warrior or It Will Die or
well,
something. One of the
I
two.
know that the Mantle of the Elder Drake used to just give Eternal Warrior, and that has now been kind of taken away.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess it doesn't. It accomplishes the same thing most of the time, but then there are still things that can instant death. Something that's
Oh,
battle
yeah.
hardened.
Yeah, Murderous Strike is now one of those
True.
bracketed rules, so that will not help you with
Nope.
battle hardened.
No.
Which is
It
not
will
in
not.
this list somehow. But yeah, Murderous Strike is a bracketed rule now where if you roll that value to wound, that wound then becomes instant death.
Yep.
So like Paragon Blades are still just Murderous Strike 6+, but there are things that have Murderous Strike 5+, such as the
Gorechild is Murderous Strike 3.
Jesus Christ. Gorechild is Murderous Strike
Oh,
3+.
that is the hard way.
Contemptor Chain Fists or Murderous Strike 5+, things like that. Or no,
Yep.
I'm mixing that up.
No, Chain Fists are just Armor Bane.
Yeah,
They don't have
something has Murderous Strike 5+. I don't remember.
I thought
what
the
it is now,
Gravis
but
Chain Fist used to have Murderous Strike 5.
That might have been a playtest thing. I don't know.
It might have been. I'm gonna look while we talk.
Shrouded. We've talked about that a few times. It's basically just another damage mitigation roll. It's only for shooting. It is allowed against instant death weapons, so if you're getting doubled out by something and you can evade and you choose to, you'll get that Shrouded 5-up damage mitigation roll or, whatever. But can't be combined with Feel No Pain, so it's one or the other.
Yep.
Yep.
Brutal is another new bracketed rule. Each successful wound that's caused before save, so this doesn't have to be an unsaved wound. This rule replaced the Deathfire rule that all of the Perdition weapons for Blood Angels had. Each wound that's caused, you basically have to make that many saves independent of whatever that value in brackets is. So, for example, Gravis Power Fist on Dreadnoughts is Brutal 3. So each wound that Dreadnought causes something in melee, those wounds don't spill over, but that model would have to make 3 independent wound saves on itself to not
I'll
wound
take that
it.
one. Yeah.
Yep.
Do you know that they don't spill over?
Yeah, they do not
Yes.
spill over. It is all like on that individual unit.
You're gonna kill the fuck out of that one dude.
Kill the fuck out of that one dude. And the last one we've got here is Reach, which is the last new bracketed rule. It increases the model's initiative by the amount in brackets. The most common thing you'll see this on is Power Lances now have Reach 1. Our very first episode on Power Lances and making them good. Well, now we don't have to do all that gamey bullshit to make them useful. They're just flat useful now. Strength +1, AP 3, Reach 1. So you're going to be hitting it initiative 5 on most
We
stuff.
should probably go back and listen to that and see just how busted ass broken those lists would be now.
Oh, God. I mean, Blood Angels with Power Lances is still a good thing, I think.
I still want to make my Grace Slayer like Spartan squad with with combat shields and spears. I just think that'd be neat.
Which last page here in this document from Flaymaster is the reactions, which
Actually, so there's actually one that I don't think I see in here at all as a brand new rule. Is Sudden Strike. It's one of those bracketed rules, but it's a lot like Reach in that it increases your initiative, but it's only on the turn that you charge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. I remember that one.
And Duelist Edge is also now a bracketed rule where it increases your initiative by that amount when you're in a challenge.
Yep.
But yeah, so that's the basic new core rules that are different with Horus Heresy 2. We'll go through and talk more about like faction specific stuff. So like obviously we'll do Legiones Astartes and what's changed with their rules and what's changed with their units, because their units in general saw a pretty decent amount of change that I think are worth talking about. That, again, if you buy the book, you can see it for yourself, but, maybe we'll go do that. This last page from the Flaymaster document, again, big props to him for putting this together, because it's going to be a great resource for people. But it's a list of all the reactions. So there's the core reactions in the book, including Interceptor.
Advanced.
Right. There's also one other reaction that's not included in here, that is just worth mentioning. It is at least so far is a Legiones Astartes specific one, but it's like beyond the advanced reactions that legions can take. It's just a generic Space Marine reaction, is Talons of the Legion, which is basically on Xiphons. When an enemy flyer comes on to reserves, you can react to that flyer coming on with your Xiphon and immediately make shooting attacks against that flyer. So
specifically, that's called Combat Air Patrol, but I think the rule that gives it that reaction is Talons of the Legion.
Yeah. So I skipped a step there, but yeah. So I believe going through the rules piece by piece, I believe that shooting attack has to be snapshots, but it's still something. It's worth considering for a Xiphon. I think Xiphons are a solid pick, but
they are definitely.
Honestly, you could say that about any of the Legion stuff now. I think there's a good role for all the Legion stuff, but that is another topic for another day. So thank you for joining us while we've been talking about this. What's new in Heresy 2. Thanks again to Flaymaster for organizing my scatterbrained thoughts into a document. He didn't do it for me, but basically cut my work in half of having to put this together. So thank you for joining us. Hopefully it's been helpful, and now maybe we'll put in our normal bullshittery that we normally would do at the front, but we can do now just for funsies.
Yeah, little bonus content. What you working on, Gray?
Oh, so I'll give you guys a little. It's actually not Warhammer stuff, but I'm working on
BattleTech?
Out of focus. BattleTech, yeah, I got a commission.
Neat.
And every squad's a different color, so I'm just basing colors on. So we got yellow, purple, white, teal, hot pink, brown, and orange.
Nice.
Yeah, I noticed the hot pink earlier. I thought you might have been like working on some Emperor's Children something.
Yeah. No, I do use that pink. I blended in with my purples for my new purple recipe, which I don't have. Oh, actually, I do have the zinc one. Emperor's Children uses a lot more pink than it used to.
Nice.
It's kind of current. I don't know how well that's showing up, but there's the current.
Yeah, I don't know that I could tell the difference between that and your other stuff on that photo on that video, but yeah, pink's a solid color for adding into purple.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm working on BattleTech stuff. I had been working earlier this week on my Ultramarines, which are definitely coming along.
Yeah, I really dig that blue, man. That's a nice blue.
The cobalt blue there.
It is a good Ultramarines blue, that's for sure.
I'm gonna pump my favorite there, the folk art,
Man,
Craft barrel crackhead.
Painting all that terrain for muster, we used a lot of the folk art and apple barrel and shit like that, and honestly it was solid paint. It was better than I was expecting it to be. It covered like dog shit, but it was pretty nice and matte once it went on there, so like it's not like you could do worse.
Also, we didn't have to go into debt to buy enough of it.
Yeah, that's also true.
99 cents a pot. Can you really? It's like the Little Caesars of paints, man. Like, are they good? They hot and they ready. All right.
This is a hill I will. I don't know how much the hot and ready pizzas are now, but at the time that they were $5, right? I will die on the hill of saying
they're $6.25 now.
Okay, $6.25. Still, I'll
Thanks,
still
Obama.
I'll still thanks Biden. I will die on the hill that pizza works damn hard for $6.25. Like, is it the best pizza in the world? No, I will never say that it's good pizza, but it works damn hard for $6.
But it's hot and it's ready.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It never purports to be anything more than what it is.
It's hot and it's ready.
Well, I'll push back on you on that because I think in their commercials on TV they say delicious hot and ready pizzas. It's like,
I mean, it's fucking delicious when all I can afford is $6 pizza.
It's delicious when I haven't had anything else to eat in 5 days.
I mean, ramen's delicious.
I'll tell you what, I had jaw surgery when I was in high school, and I had my teeth like.
Oh, is that when you got
shut.
implants?
Yeah. And I had my jaw like banded shut for like 2 weeks. I'll tell you what, you don't realize how many food commercials there are on TV until you haven't had solid food in 3 days. And my mom brought fucking Little Caesars home for everybody else, and I was so close to getting her to blend that shit up in a blender and give it to me so I could drink it through a straw. I was fucking starving to death at that point, man. I was dying.
I would drink blended melted cheese.
You would drink a blended hot and ready pizza?
No, I didn't say that. I said like pizza cheese that's all, melted already. Whatever variety of cheese they use for that, blend that, I will drink it.
Like maybe instead just go with like queso dip. That would probably be easier.
Cut out the middleman.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I'm just saying it's hard to talk down from your high horse when you haven't had solid food in 5 days. Like, don't judge me for my decisions I almost made. I still didn't even do it. That's how desperate I was.
Literally none of us have judged you for that.
Yet. Just wait.
Yeah,
I'm gonna close this document so I'm not quite so fucking pasty pale. There we go.
I'm just picturing
I've never seen
your wire jaw, Jake, because everyone eats pizza right next to you, just like leans in. It's so good.
No, I yelled at her too. I'm like, Mom, what the fuck? Like, I'm over here starving to death, and you're gonna bring fucking pizza into the house?
Well, actually,
like,
what you said.
I mean, yeah, that is actually kind of more. Mom, what the fuck? Why are you doing this to me?
Jake, I've never seen a monitor that actually projects light onto you like in the movies.
I mean, just it's not a dark room, but it's not exactly brightly lit. But yeah, I mean, all you need to do is open up a white document, and there it is.
Yeah.
I'm hacking into the mainframe. I'm in, boys.
All right, I'm gonna close mine. And we'll
He's
see what
also
happens.
exceptionally. We
Okay, yeah, that actually was kind of a lot of light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. How about you, Eric? What you've been working on?
Oh, we're still doing that.
I mean,
all kinds of shit, man. Like mostly Night Lords, but I've got. I don't know how well because I just closed the fucking Word doc. You can see, but you can't see that shit at all. But Ben printed me a bunch of Terror Squad Marines, and they're a lot different than the Forge World upgrade kit. Like they're a lot more distinct in all of their pieces, and I'm working on the last 4 out of the first 10 that he printed me. I just have to do the lightning, and then they'll be done. But I've redid all the lightning that I was going to redo. Actually redid all the lightning on all my bikes and just added like another layer mixed with white to give it a little more pop. That's kind of it, really.
Yeah, I dig it.
And that's the long and short of it. I built a laser vindicator. Never
yeah.
doing that shit again.
Tell me how that went.
Poorly. I mean, it came out acceptable, but it was just warped in a lot of places. The tracks were awful, and the gates on the tracks were the real hard part, where like the resin gates were right in like the little locky bits where the tracks are supposed to lock into each other. So like they would break off when I would cut that piece of the resin gate off, and trying to get them to match right, because there's like a groove on one side of the track that's supposed to fit into the wheels, so you have to have that all lined up. So all the shit was just kind of breaking off. There's so much green stuff. That thing is probably like 10% green stuff by volume.
Just like me.
I got it like right here.
Yeah, it was. You're
Yeah,
showing us pictures.
Again, I
It
don't know.
was-
I'll turn on a real light so I'm not in my fucking night haunter cave.
You know that we can't see you,
There
right?
we go. Yeah. Like I said, like now that the Word document actually did give me a lot of light.
Talked a bunch of
So
shit.
like there's the fucking green stuffed fucking laser vindicator. The barrel's kind of bent. Like I didn't even realize that part was as warped as it is until I was done.
Are you putting these models in front of the camera that's not on?
No,
Is my camera not on?
no, it is.
No. No, I don't see your camera.
Well,
I see me.
I see
I
Eric.
see you.
All right. Well, Jake's the one recording, so I don't know if you can see
Oh, okay.
the
no, apparently I had to
Terror
click you.
Squad. I don't
Weird.
know if he's focusing now. He's not really focusing, but he looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
The model does. I feel like I actually did well. I did better on like their skull white helms because I actually put gray underneath it rather than trying to put white over black.
Yeah. What I can
Gray
do
is the
for you,
best.
Eric,
Rookie
is
mistake.
you can send me a picture of it later, and when you're like holding it in front of the camera, I'll like have like the picture like floating around with your hand. Then that way, it's like we were there.
Yeah.
But how about you, Ben?
Mhm.
I'd be willing to bet what you've been working on.
Okay. What do you think I've been working on?
Printing commissions.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much all I do. I don't work on any of my own stuff.
I mean, it doesn't help that I kind of stole your box.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like I'm gonna be honest, like there are days I was like, I should ask Jay. I'm like, nope, don't be like that. Don't be like that, Ben. You're a better person than that. But no, I have been doing a lot of print commissions. One of my machines went down, so I had to get another one. So trying to catch up. And then a couple of people have been asking me about, specific models. So I've been doing some test runs of those. So I have this really cute, like slightly larger than a Saber Morbus Bombard, which is kind of fun. I think I've got another one that's curing right now that's probably the right size, but the other one I'm probably just gonna turn into some ZM terrain. Throw it on the table is just something neat to fight around.
Yeah. I'm
Oh, did you manage to find like I know you've got like testing and printing and work on them to do, but did you manage to like actually find those files that I had asked about?
I don't
The
remember.
Raptor jump packs.
Yeah, I've got a set of Raptor jump packs. I'll find them and show them to you here.
Okay. Because I figured they'd probably be popular enough that somebody had made them, but I couldn't find them on my own.
I'm just gonna
People
find.
bury them in such weird keywords sometimes.
Yeah. Well, so
trying
I already
so hard
did.
to make them unfindable for GW. Little do they know that it makes them unfindable for everyone.
Well, that is a true statement. But yeah, I've just got. I mean, I've got like 5 terabytes of print files. Like trying to like search through that shit is stupid.
Yeah. You willing to
But
believe
no,
that?
that's mostly what I've been doing. Like, but it's been going well.
I've been working on
Yeah.
all kinds of shit. I started on my word bearers, got the first squad of them painted, got my 1,000 points built, and then immediately decided to go back to my first true love, the Blood Angels, and so I've been working on building those guys up now for our escalation campaign league, whatever we want to call it, that's getting ready to start here in like a week and a half or so. And right now, I've finished building the tactical squad and the Rhino for my beginning of my force, and then I need to build a 5-man assault cannon team. And for demos, Jack and I are going to start running demos of like lists made from the core box. So I think he's going to run a dreadnought, and I'm going to run 5 Terminators instead.
And a Spartan.
5 Terminators and a Spartan. No, it'll just be like cheating a little bit that I'm going to use a Rhino. I mean, look, man, I got to do what I can to get ahead. All right, like you've seen my dice rolls. But I'll consider the Rhino, like it's not part of the box, but it's part of the initial release, so like you can get a Rhino. It'll also show people how armor values work, such that they are. So there's that. So I got to build a unit of Terminators, because outside the Crimson Paladins, I actually do not have any Cataphracti for my Blood Angels. I was slightly surprised to find that. I had built some at some point, but they never got painted. And they're built differently than I'd want to build them now. So I'm either built different. I mean, I got fucking 10 of them now, so like I might as well just build new ones. If I'm gonna have to do surgery on the other ones to like disassemble and reassemble them, I might as well just build them from scratch.
Yeah, I didn't realize there were 10 Cataphracti in the box until I finally got mine today. So that because I was like, man, I want to do this. Like I've had the thought of doing a World Eater's Cataphracti Praetor with the Berserker upgrade, put him with some Red Butchers, and then just also have like some more Terminators. I was like, well, if I make him out of one of those, I'll only have 4. But no, I'll have plenty. I'll have as many as I want.
I'll have plenty of fucking Terminators.
A binder's full of Terminators.
Yep.
I love Terminators so much.
I've had Tartaros. I've had my Lightning Claw Tartaros squad for so long, and I'm so happy that they're actually good now. God damn it, Lightning Claws are actually usable.
Yeah, no, my Lightning Claw Tartaros did work. They're fucking good.
Yeah.
Good. Can't confirm.
My now that we actually read those rules, I'm realizing that they should have probably gotten swept, but my Lightning Claw Terminators got swept by Jack's Praetor, and I multi-charged him. I charged 2 units into the remainder of his assault squad, which was a Chaplain and a Praetor, and that assault squad and that Terminator squad lost that fucking combat. I was so upset. He made so many fucking 2-up saves that game, man. It was stupid.
He was very displeased. From afar, I could tell.
It's just like, man, come on. Just fucking dump
Please
20,
die. Please.
20 fucking Lightning Claw attacks, rendered like 4. He saved most of his invuln saves and then continued to tank like 15 fucking 2-up saves. I'm like, god damn it. Whatever. Shit happens. But yeah, so I've been working on all kinds of stuff. I haven't painted anything yet. It's mostly been assembly at this point, but I did paint that Word Bearers unit, so I guess that counts. But that's been, I mean, how long has it been since we recorded an episode? since before the release.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because I don't think I've talked about my bike apothecaries and my Primus Medicae that I just stole the Fabius kit from.
Yeah.
He turned out real good.
Yeah.
Neat.
But yeah, I mean, I guess if we're going there, do we want to talk about picks of the week? I haven't prepared one, so.
So I don't have a pick, but I have a miss. So I'll be salty boy after y'all do your thing.
Well, I'll do a quick pick, but I don't have it up in front of me. Today, actually, they Warcom came out with a new exemplary battle PDF with a new unit for the Word Bearers.
They sure
This
did.
is the first exemplary battle PDF that has come out after the edition changeover.
Yep. They're all right. I mean, now that I'm a Word Bearers player, I'm happy for it. So I'm into it. They're basically veteran assault squad, sort of, with built-in apothecaries that like buff psychic checks around the unit. So that's kind of cool.
I think more importantly is that you can have multiple apothecaries basically in the same unit.
Which is weird, but I mean, sure.
Well, with the
It's
prevalence of
good.
precision shots.
Exactly,
now,
that's what I was gonna say. Is you can't just snipe the one apothecary and be like, "Ha, get fucked, nerd."
You are
Now, on the
correct.
flip, you're paying full apothecary price for that apothecary.
For the first
I
one,
mean, that's
sure.
fine.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But you're
I
not
think
using apothecary slots
Oh,
to do
Big
so.
brain move. That's how you get 10 apothecaries in your list. You run a full unit of those with all 3 apothecaries and then run a full 7-man apothecary in detachment. Oh, God.
you know,
Because I believe you can only have the 1 apothecary in detachment, yeah?
Yeah, I think it's a 0-1. Same with Tech Marines.
Yeah. So, yeah, there you go. Yeah, I'm looking through here to see if anything catches my eye. I don't think I have a pick of the week. I mean, there's lots of cool new stuff going on. Oh, no, I do have a pick of the week. I don't remember who it was that did it. I'd have to find it. I'll probably put up a picture of it now whenever I find that. But basically, it's a conversion that somebody did of the one of the Praetor models from the box set that nobody seems to like, and it's the Axe Boy. And he basically made him have 2 dual lightning claws. They're like down by his side. And it was just a really cool conversion that worked really well. He also took Mark III pads and like filed the bottoms of them off so that it was just like trim along the top edge and then the rest of it was blank. And I really liked that. I'm like, ooh, I'm probably going to steal that because that looks really cool.
yeah.
So like like the Mark III pads have the trim that comes along the top, and then there's like that lip, and then it's like the bottom part of the trim. He had filed that bottom lip part off.
So it just has like the reinforcement on the top edge.
Yeah, which looked really nice. I'm like, ooh, I'm definitely stealing that. I might make a dual Lightning Claw Praetor out of that guy. Fuck it, why not?
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm doing for Terror Assault because I plan on having the Night Haunter in that list anyway, so may as well do something cool. In fact, I've got he's not complete yet, but I gave him the big fucking Chaos Terminator Lord of Lightning Claws.
You gave him the fucking.
They're gonna be way too fucking big, but fuck it.
You gave him the domestic violence hands.
Exactly.
The bitch slapper. Oh, probably can't say that on the internet.
Too late.
He says, having said it on the internet.
It's all right.
I mean, it's probably fine because I know I couldn't understand him.
I mean, none of us are ever getting elected to on any kind of office, elected or otherwise, so it's fine. Yeah, I'll see if I can find a conversion.
Yeah.
Did I send that to myself to remember? No, I probably didn't. Ugh, God.
So yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So Eric, I think that's it.
All right.
I think that's it.
So I got a miss of the week. I don't know who needs to hear this, but do not pre-order straight from GW. So I'll admit, like this time it was my own damn fault. But I pre-ordered my new Age of Darkness box set from Games Workshop directly from the website. It arrived today. Today is the 27th. When when they released, on the 18th, and I get it, they can't time the postal service to deliver on that day, so they've got I knew I was going to get it a little bit later, but they didn't even ship it till the Wednesday after release. So it came out Friday or Saturday, and there was this whole half a week. And it is I said this is the second time that's happened because it's a thing they do apparently, because I had originally pre-ordered Shadow and Iron, the Adeptus Titanicus campaign book, and the exact same thing happened. I got it 2 weeks after it released when I could have gone to Tower and just done it there. But I've suffered the sin of sloth. I was too lazy to get off my ass and go to the store, which I mean is a significant drive for me, but could have done it after work. I go there all the time anyway, or sometimes anyway. So yeah, if you've ever been in that situation, let us know. If you have been saved from making that same mistake, let us know that too. Also, apparently, there was some kind of pre order bonus coin that we're supposed to get. My box, that like the actual cardboard shipping box, was just fucking busted on the front side when I came home today. So I don't know when that broke, but I guess my coin fell out because I didn't get one of those.
Or they could have just said "fuck you" like they did to Ben and just not give it to
Or
him.
they could have just done that. And this is a separate issue from what I had, but I know like Matt had had one of his sprues from his special weapons kit missing when he opened the box. So
yeah,
remember to always check your shit.
I think that is like he could have had like an original box. So this is the instruction booklet for like the special weapons box, and inside
I really need instructions.
I mean, kinda, because the heavy weapons do, but the special weapons don't come with their own bespoke arms, so they have to tell you which special weapon to line up with what pair of arms from like the Mark 6 kit. So like, okay, that's fair. That I think that needed clarification because it would have kind of fucked up some stuff possibly. But in here, it says the weapons included in this upgrade set allow other Space Marines units to be built from the Mark 6 Tactical Squad set available separately, including Legion Veteran Squads and Legion Tactical Support Squads. It says box contents, and it only says 5 of each weapon in here, where the actual box comes with 10. So I think they originally intended to only sell them as 6 sets of 5 rather than 6 sets of 10. So maybe Matt got like an early package box that only had half of them in there. Because that's what the printed book says, is you only get 5 of each. So I could totally, like, as soon as you said that like triggered that. And I was like, ooh. So it's,
I mean, that could be. But yeah, pre-order from a physical store that you can go to and pick them up so that you don't have to rely on the kindness of your friends to have a book available for you to play. Because that's really what it is. Like, I'm gonna build shit out of that box, but it's not gonna be for a while. So
right,
I'm not like upset that I got it late because I got shit I need to do with it. I just wanted my books, damn it.
And
so
then and then they didn't release the rule book separately until like it's going up for pre-order this
right,
week.
Because that was all I was originally gonna buy, was just the book by itself, and then I couldn't do that, and now I could have.
Now
Sin of lust.
You've reinforced their behavior now because it worked. They fucking got you with the FOMO of like, I don't know when the box is gonna or the book's gonna be available, so I better get the box if I want to play.
Yeah, fair enough.
They got your ass. You got
sin of envy. I mean, and now I'm making this rant, sin of wrath. Like, what have I not hit yet? Gluttony. I mean, there's 40 Marines in that box.
I mean, I'm pretty sure you got wrath down. Yeah,
that's what I said. I'm making this rant, sin of wrath.
Man, that's kind of just what he is, just in general. Bearded wrath.
Bearded wrath.
You don't have pride yet.
Fair. Yeah, that might be a hard one.
I'm not a prideful man, but
I am the most humble man in this podcast.
Oh, shit.
I got the biggest dick and I don't even talk about it, guys.
I'm at least twice as humble as the rest of you.
Yeah, no doubt.
As he sips his fucking Arizona. His Arizona nuclear waste.
That's right. The mango madness. Roll piss, drink piss.
Was that the same? Was that what you had at the cookout? Oh no, that was the water mussy you had at the cookout.
Water mussy.
That shit was good.
Which, if I remember it, I will bring to the next thing.
Yeah. But
Two
yeah, this feels
gallons.
weird now because now we've done all the bullshit. Now we don't have like a topic to talk about because we already did that. So
Yeah, we
like,
just meander forever.
yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, what are you guys doing with your new boxes? Tell us, show us what cool conversions you did. I sent you that. Actually, okay, so I know I kind of had that pick of the week already, but there's another pick of the week of oh God, hold on. No, I can't. Now I'm not gonna be able to find it because it's like 2 weeks gone by with the fucking chat. But I sent you those uh Terror Squad conversions out of the Mark 6 with like the rotor cannons, and they had like the
Oh,
skull
yeah.
helms on them. God, that looked fucking good. I was like, oh fuck, am I playing Night Lords now too? Mark 6 is my favorite mark of armor, so like it's not hard to get me to say it looks good. So, but anyway,
It's definitely my favorite. I don't know if it's my favorite for Heresy, but it's definitely my favorite, like, period.
I think it's my favorite, just period. But
I'm a Mark IV man.
yeah,
4 and 2 are my favorites.
3. I'm a Mark 3 guy.
yeah.
You know, and I'll say something nobody likes is I like Mark V.
I like Mark V.
Yeah, Mark 5 is fine.
Like,
I used to not like it. Like I used to not like all the studs, but they've really grown on me. I might have to have them removed. Actually, come to think of it.
I have
Yeah.
a whole squad of Mark V tacticals. Of course, that's not enough. Well, when we get the rules, eventually be my Nemesis Destroyer.
Yeah,
When they get a rule.
there you go.
I don't know, man. I'd say just fucking use them now. Like that's what I've done. I've only done it once because that's the only game with that list that I've played. But I looked at it and I looked at all the points cost for Terminators in the new edition, vice the old, because they've all gained a wound, but like none of them have got more expensive that I've seen. Some of them have actually got less expensive, like I think Phoenix Terminators might have. So I've just been running my Atramentar with 2 wounds, straight same rules as in the PDF.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, all the people that we game with are pretty cool guys, so nobody's gonna throw a fit.
Yeah. I'm still waiting
Yeah, then
for the Sons of Horus and the Blood Angels special units from Exemplary Battles. So I'm curious to see what that is. I'm
that's
curious
the
to
part.
see.
I'm waiting for the wolves and the salamanders.
Yeah. So like because Blood Angels already have a Legion specific Terminator unit and they already have a Legion specific Destroyer unit. So I'm curious to see what they'll give us because I mean that's kind of
because
big.
that's what it's been, and that's
Yeah.
that's where Word Bearers already have destroyers in the Ashen Circles. So now they've got new fancy apothecaries.
Yep.
I'm thinking that the Space Wolves are going to get a long range unit.
Like Long
I'm
Fangs.
thinking either like Wolf Scouts or like a Long Fang squad, like a heavy support squad.
Yeah.
If I had to put money on it, I would go with a scout, like a sniper squad. I think that'd be neat.
Are we gonna see Sanguinary Guard? I don't know.
We might, because that's what you look at. Night Lords have both Kantakar and Atramentar, because Forge World has this weird thing about they have to, not only things that GW has models for, they've got to make models, but Forge World doesn't seem to like using Black Library and existing lore assets. So instead of Forge World giving us Atramentar in Book 9, they gave us fucking Kantakar because that's Forge World original content. Do not steal character.
Donut steals.
OC Donut steal. And then we got actual Atramentar from Games Workshop. So yeah, they might be like, oh yeah, here's Dawnbreakers or the Dawnbreakers TM, and then Games Workshop will be here's the Sanguinary Guard you actually wanted.
Yeah.
I just want to know how they're gonna make them like interesting enough, like in this like side by side.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, Dawnbreakers are already 2 wounds, 2 up saves with fucking spears and wrist grenade launchers. So like,
I could see them doing something like as a retinue squad where they can still do Lookout Sir.
I'm sure that Lookout Sir will come back in.
They'll have Chosen Warriors like for sure.
Yeah, that too.
Chosen Warrior doesn't let you pass off wounds though.
No, it doesn't.
I think what I would do is I would just do them, lock them to 5 man, give them Paragon blades and either the option of wrist bolter or wrist plasma, and call it a day.
Or
Lock
what's
'em to
the-
5-man
5.
Paragon Blade Squad. Good lord.
I mean, that's like.
That's it. Oh, no.
I won't. I'll just leave the table at that point. Ain't shit
I
can
could
do about
I
that.
could see
Yeah.
them doing a 5-man perdition weapon squad, because perdition weapons are
Yes.
just character models now.
Yeah.
Sure.
And like they're not bad. I don't know that they're like auto includes, like, but then again, the Blade of Perdition was never an auto include for me. The only thing I put it on was Dawnbreakers, the Crimson Paladin. Like the Dawnbreakers and the Crimson Paladin Sergeant could take it, and you put them on chaplains, but I don't think I ever took one over a Paragon Blade on something that could take a Paragon Blade. But now there's Blades, Axe, Spear, and Mace of Perdition now. Like, I could see a Sanguinary Guard unit getting to just take one of those rather than like Paragon Blades, because that would be a little silly. But a unit of Perdition weapons.
Wasn't there some unit in first edition of Horus Heresy where they had access to a Paragon blade somewhere in the unit?
Yeah, the exemplary battle unit for the Dark Angels, their sergeant could take a Paragon Blade.
Oh yeah, the
Knights
can't remember. They
Cenobium
took-
Order of the Broken Claw?
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
So then there you go. Sanguinary, you give a sergeant Paragon blade, give the rest of them either Paragon swords or axes, and
Or Perdition.
wrist mounted bolters / plasma guns, and call it a day.
Yeah.
You don't even have to put a new kit out then. It's the same
Well, I mean,
kit.
there is a. I mean, true, it's a named special character, but there is precedent for like being able to ignore like precision shots and pass off wounds, and that's Erebus.
Yeah.
He literally cannot have wounds allocated to him if he's in a unit, and he can refuse challenges for no negative.
He just gets away with it.
He just keeps getting away with it. Just fucking great. I love that rule so much. Like, it's, I don't know how balanced it is, but god damn, it's fucking funny. Like, he's such a shithead. It's like, god damn it, I just want to kill his ass. Like, it's like,
Oh yeah, it's gonna be great when Erebus does it, but when Varl Redblade does it, I'm a power gamer.
What? Well, yeah, but Redblade would never do that. Fat Bastard would never do that. He wants to be.
I mean,
front
at least
and
it's not
center.
Terminator armor. You're right.
See, I've always thought that ignore challenge thing should be a Night Lord's passive, or like the opposite scenario of Raldoron and Skravok, where like some Blood Angels champion is like, I challenge you, Master of the Night Lords, and all that, and he just looks up from stabbing some dude, and he's like, huh? I'm gonna go back to stabbing this dude.
Like, fuck you, buddy.
Yeah,
like, I don't care about
in my job
honor.
description. I'm here to stab.
Yeah, I came here to stab people and wear their faces.
Yeah, I mean, that's
And I'm
kind of what was
all out of
happening with.
faces.
It's kind of what happened with Raldoron. Raldoron was busy stabbing some fucking Night Lord.
Yeah, so I said the reverse situation.
It's like, who are you? Literally who?
Literally who?
Oh shit. Well,
No shit.
Oh, you know what? That's gonna be my pick of the week. The Lost and the Damned, because I finally got to the Siege of Terra series. That's a really good one. Like, for some reason, I had always thought that like Guy Haley was a bad author, but then like when I just realized like I hadn't actually read anything by Guy Haley, and he wrote The Night Haunter, which was fucking fantastic, and he wrote The Lost and the Damned, which was equally great. Not equally great, but was also great. And some short story like Skravok is kind of like his character, the way Sevitar is ADB's, but Guy Haley's not afraid to fuck with his own characters.
yeah. I mean, yeah. Obviously, you haven't gotten there yet. Saturnine is widely held to be the best Siege book so far, but I personally, I think Lost in the Damned is my favorite also. But it's also the one that's gotten the most like Blood Angel screen time so far, so like maybe that's why. But no, I think it's just really well written. Like, I know
I was actually not looking forward to, because I was like, man, I don't care about like mortals in Warhammer like at all. I don't see the appeal with them the same way a lot of people are like, oh yeah, normal guys standing up to the horrors of the galaxy. But like it was still like even the mortal characters were pretty cool.
Yeah, I
It was
think
cool to read about them.
You might have clowned on it a little bit, but I really enjoyed that arc of like, because you may have said it that like, oh yeah, I totally didn't see that coming, that they were like loyal to Horus, but I was like, oh, that was actually surprising to me. I'm probably like their
Oh
Black
yeah,
Libraries, like
the Alpha Legion guys from Praetorian of Dorne that are in there. Spoilers.
oh, I mean no,
Because I didn't
guess.
see that twist coming either. Like even
Oh,
though they
okay.
introduced the characters, I was like, oh, I'm not paying attention to this at all. And then they were like, twist. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah. Because like I'm probably Black Libraries like target audience where like I'm gullible as fuck. So like even though I read it like 10 years too late, I was still completely blindsided by Legion when I read it. I was like, what? They're twins? What? Like I hadn't heard that before. I was like, oh fuck. So
See,
like,
what I really liked coming off the back of John French and Solar War is that Guy Haley actually lets the readers make their own conclusions and things, and where you're like there's a part where everyone in the trenches is getting really sick for some reason, and like, oh, the medicator isn't really doing anything to stop it, and then suddenly there's drop pods and you're like, oh shit, it was the Death Guard all along, because they spent like one chapter beforehand talking about how much more Tyrion stank when he walked in the room. So it's like, and they didn't tell you that specifically, whereas I think certain other authors might have really made sure you knew the Death Guard were sending down some viruses.
yeah.
Oh,
Well, yeah, I mean, you could have just as easily assumed, like, oh, yeah, that's just that many people being stuck in a trench,
Right.
like, just typical trench warfare shit, not, you know, Death
But then when
Guard
they were like, the medicine
notwithstanding.
isn't working.
Yeah.
yeah.
Which, okay, yes or no,
No.
did you think Zephon died?
I haven't got to that yet. I haven't seen
I thought that
Zephyr
was the beginning
yet.
of Lost in the Damned. Okay,
Also,
well,
not everyone's read this shit.
Well, we're talking about stuff that we specifically thought that we each other have read. So.
yeah, well, sorry. Not that you care.
Some of us don't know how to read.
And
He's also whatever.
A hammer.
He's also a hammer, yeah. But like,
Mhm.
I don't
The
know.
hammer is just being.
I've heard talk on the internet of like, oh no, it was kind of left ambiguous that he was alive or dead. I'm like, no, he was pretty fucking dead. Like, oh, show me his decapitated corpse. It's like, I don't know, man. He got an entire fucking hive dropped on his head. I feel like he's kind of fucking dead. And his Primarch's like, yeah, that asshole's dead. Like,
Yo, he dead as fuck.
yeah, he dead
Hey,
as
Zephyr,
fuck.
how's it going?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I mean, Sanguinius kind of says, like, oh, yeah, that dude's dead as hell. Like, I don't know, man, whatever.
Sanguinius has been known to be wrong, though.
Not today. I do not die this day. Was
Zephyr sure as fuck might.
fucking bionic leg having bitch. Fix
Reminds
this
me of,
land.
Yeah.
Fuck.
What? There was some anime where they did a bad job of subtitling it and translating it, and whatever they originally said, it was translated as "He's such a man, he wouldn't die even if you killed him."
That's
mean,
Dominion Zephyr.
that sounds like Gurren Lagann to me, but
I
whatever.
don't know who wrote that, but yep.
Definitely,
Translated pretty well.
Well,
it's a pretty bad translation. But
I don't want to
such a
subject
man.
our fans to any more of our rambling nonsense, so I'll go ahead and cut this off here. But thanks for listening. Comment down below on what you like about the new rules, games you've had, questions you might have about new stuff. You want to have us help you build a new 2.0 list, we're happy to do that too. Or if you just want to tell us to, go fuck ourselves, there's that option available to you as well. So
Tell us your pre-order horror stories.
yeah.
Show us your wee wee.
Show us your wee wee. No, don't do that, because that YouTube probably won't like that very much. But yeah, thanks for listening, guys, and we'll catch you next time.
Wait, where would they? Where else could they go to tell us about things? Maybe like an email or something.
I don't know. Whatever.
I don't know.
Like I wasn't worried about the email. Nobody's fucking.
All right,
used
all
it,
right, fine, all right, fine.
Argel Talk Podcast at gmail.com.
Oh, it's too late. This part's cut out.
ARGELTALK podcast at gmail.com.
Yeah, I've already checked out. To be honest.
Yep. There's also the Hampton Roads Heresy Discord server that we're becoming more active in. Probably won't matter to anybody that's not local for most of the talk, but I mean, it's a cool place, cool people. Some of them, most of them, I don't know. You can join us there too. So, yeah, I'll take it easy, and we'll see you guys on the next one.